Are we good?
We're good.
We're going to go ahead and call this to order in just a minute.
Remember, sometimes you just gotta make your own.
Can everyone hear outside? Okay, great. We're going to go ahead and call the Wednesday, November 11th, 2015 Resource Management and Administration Committee to order.
Thank you.
I'm going to start by thanking everyone for being here on this Veterans Day. And I just wanted a quick reminder as to why we did have a meeting today. Being that one of our main items is a finance item, it was important to us to have our finance director here, and he unfortunately is needed in court tomorrow, representing Grand Traverse County as part of his job. So unfortunately, we had to have our meeting on the holiday, so I thank everyone for coming out, regardless of the changes there. And I did want to start today, first of all, by thanking Bob Johnson, our veteran on our commission, for his service, and to everyone out there for their service. And being the history geek that I am, I would be remiss if I didn't make a couple words. President Kennedy's Veterans Day speech in 1961, just a couple sentences that I think really remind us of why we're all here today and why we're allowed to go through this process that all of you get to be a part of, and that's because of our veterans. President Kennedy addressed the citizens in 1961 saying, "Today we are here to celebrate and to honor and to commemorate the dead and the living, the young men who in every war since this country began have given testimony to their loyalty to their country and their own great courage. I do not believe that any nation in the history of the world has buried its soldiers farther from its native soil than we Americans, or buried them closer to the towns in which they grew up." We celebrate this Veterans Day for a few minutes, a few seconds of silence, and then this country's life goes on. But I think it most appropriate that we recall on this occasion, and on every other moment when we are faced with great responsibilities, the contribution and the sacrifice which so many men and their families have made in order to permit this country to now occupy its present position of responsibility and freedom, in order to permit us to gather here like we are tonight. So I want to thank everyone for being here, and those that served our nation, those that are listening out there. And on that note, can we all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Johnson?
Here.
Crawford? Here. Klaus?
Here.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Max Bauer? Here. Lathrop?
Here.
Kropa?
Here. I'm trying to flip on I am not good with the technology at all on here. Thank you. In reference to the minutes of October 14th, 2015, do we have any changes? Those will stand approved. First public comment, Bonnie.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized, and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. I do want to ask you, since there's such a large crowd here, I have a notepad over on this back table. Once you speak and say your name, could you please write your name over there so I spell your name correctly? Thanks.
And just a reminder, just to keep the respect for everybody in the process that we have here for public comment time, if you could refrain from any applause and or on the opposite side booing to anyone. We all deserve the time to be heard, and allow everybody the respect that we all deserve here in the process. With that being said, If there is anyone for public comment, you're welcome to join us. If not, we will be having public comment during specific action items as well this evening. Lori.
Good evening. Lori Wells. I'm the Deputy Director for the Grand Traverse County Commission on Aging, and I wanted to kind of just tag on with what Commissioner Kropa talked about with veterans. Yesterday, we had a wonderful celebration of the veterans in Traverse City. We had 130 people. Majority of the veterans there were World War II veterans, which is an awesome place to be. Tomorrow, we have a celebration at Interlochen location. The members of the public are welcome to join us. There's still time to sign up. We had Kingsley last week, had 130 in Kingsley celebrating the veteran service, and then next week on the 18th we'll be in Fife Lake recognizing our veterans. So when we're all done, we'll have recognized probably about 300 veterans. And I just want to thank Comfort Keepers and Reynolds Yonkoff and Glen Eagle for sponsoring all of those activities. Thank you.
Anyone else at all? Okay, I will close first public comment on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes by commissioners? Staff? The agenda stands approved. On to the consent calendar. Bonnie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. Number 1, Conservation District Monthly Report. Number 2, Resource Recovery Manager's Report. Number 3, Commission on Aging Monthly Report. Number 4, Road Commission Monthly Report. Number 5, County Staff Report. B, Approval. Number 1, District Court Michigan Drug Court Grant. Number 2, HHW Collection Services Contract Extension.
Any commissioners? Sonny.
I would ask to pull the HHW contract extension, please.
Okay. And any other commissioners? Staff or audience?
I would move to approve the consent calendar minus B2, HHW Collection Services.
Support.
Okay, moved by Max Bauer, support by, I think it was Johnson. It was Wheelock, in that direct vicinity. Any discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Under special orders of business, we welcome Lieutenant Colonel Terry Hahn
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
regarding the Congressional Medal of Honor winner Demas T. Craw from Long Lake Township.
Hello, everyone. My name is Terry Hahn. I'm a citizen, formerly a lieutenant colonel. I was wounded in Iraq. And when I came back from Iraq, I was in the Wounded Warrior Program, assigned over to the Army Reserve Center. That center is named after really a son of the city, and I started doing some research. He won the Medal of Honor, and I found out really nobody in this city and the area knows about him. So one of my physicians was Dr. Dan Lathrop, and we kind of started having some discussions. I did some research, and again, found more and more that nobody knows about the only Medal of Honor recipient from Traverse City. So I think it's important, and one of our goals is to try and attempt to rename or name the new Traverse City Community-Based Outpatient Clinic after this honored veteran. I think it's important. It's both important to remember this individual, but also what I feel is our greatest generation to recognize them and this individual. Colonel Craw was killed when he received the Medal of Honor. He was in Traverse City Public Schools. He dropped out of high school to fight in World War I. Him and his twin brother. His dad was a longtime conservation officer in this area. Before World War II, he went to flight school and commanded a pursuit squadron after graduating from West Point. During World War II and the invasion of Morocco, which was a precursor to the D-Day invasion, Colonel Craw volunteered to go behind enemy lines and negotiate with the French, who some people don't know, but actually the Vichy French were fighting the Americans, and we had no idea how much they would fight. So we didn't shell their positions, And what had happened is we started, a lot of iron, so to speak, was raining in on the soldiers in Morocco. This man, along with Major Hamilton, volunteered and went behind enemy lines to negotiate a surrender. In the process, Colonel Craw was killed. However, they were successful in their mission, and it saved really countless numbers of American and French lives. For this, Colonel Craw received the Medal of Honor. I think it's appropriate. This is really the kickoff for our campaign. We're asking everyone as individuals and as community leaders to support this move to really name something after really a great American and a great son of the city. So that's all I have. You'll see a lot of these petitions going around. Dr. Lathrop has some for you as individuals. I would
They're
ask,
signed.
Christine does, or Miss Max Bauer has all these, and I would ask that you folks get behind this. I think it's a great thing to honor someone from this city, and thank you very much. Any questions? I'll be here after the meeting. That's it. Thank you. Thanks for those good comments from President Kennedy, too.
Thank you.
I wanted to say that it's our goal. We're kicking off this campaign. Lieutenant Colonel Terry Hahn is also a military historian and has written books and stuff. By the way, he is a Bronze Star winner himself. He got injured in Iraq and was involved in some very heroic acts himself. He's very humble about it. But anyway, we think this is a great honor to have a man like this in our community, and today's a perfect day to kick this off and name this. It takes an act of Congress to do this. So we have a goal that a year from now we can announce that our new VA clinic is named after our local hero. So we're hoping for your support, and that's my comment.
Yeah, for those that know John Leffler, you know, he's very active in our local community. If you don't recognize the name, you've probably seen him on TV. Very, very active. He's the president of the Veterans Coalition, and he did call me. We're friends. He did call me yesterday, I believe, to make sure his voice was heard about his support. He couldn't be here tonight, but you know, the veterans in this community, I think it's very important that we get a facility like this named for someone locally. You know, it's a strong connection. It makes the connection to the community. So I encourage you to start writing Mr. Benishek and see what we can do about getting this named for such a worthy gentleman. So.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel, and thank you for your service. And on to items removed from the consent calendar. Item B2, the Household Hazardous Waste Collection Services Contract Extension. Commissioner Wheelock.
The reason I pulled this is, as you all are aware, myself, Commissioner Max Bauer, and others are involved in bidding out the possible bidding out of the Resource Recovery Department on behalf of Grand Traverse County. Depending on who we end up with for a contractee, if you would, to handle our household hazardous waste, they may or may not want to use this company for the disposal. This contract runs through, I don't remember exactly what the date is, but I know it's mid into 2016.
It's a one-year extension.
One-year extension.
Right, I
One-year
know that,
extension.
but I would ask that we not rush into this renewal, because of the fact that I suspect that by the end of December, we will have made a decision of whether or not we're going to continue to operate HHWs on our own, or if we're going to contract out this service. And if we're contracting with a company to do it, we should certainly allow them to use their own vendors.
Commissioner Max Bauer.
Commissioner Wheelock, you and I are on the same page on this, and I do have a question here. This is a contractor who is coming in a one-year extension. So I'm kind of unclear as to where you're going here.
Well,
And if you want to table it and talk, and you and I should
that's
discuss
fine.
it, that's
You know, whether we
fine.
table or not, I'm not prepared to grant this or vote for this extension tonight, because the issue is, you know, if I hire and I am trying to think of names of companies right now, but there are a number of companies throughout the state of Michigan that will come in and they will handle the scheduling, the HHW collections, the disposals, the pesticides, the herbicides.
I see what you're saying.
And if we're going to contract with a company like that to handle that collection on our behalf, I don't want to have a contract that says that they have to use Environmental Recycling Group Environmental Services.
Okay.
I want to give them the opportunity. For probably 10 years, we used a company called Drug and Lab. And now we've contracted with this company for the last 3 years. It might be a 6-year, but I think it's only been the last 3 years we've used this vendor. So, I just don't want to straddle a company that's coming in and bidding for it to provide these services on our behalf with, okay, you can do it, but you have to use our vendor. I don't want to do that.
Fine. Can we,
What's that, Bob? Have a word in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there is a 90-day early out for any reason, so I don't know. I mean, I'm fine too with waiting till December. The contract doesn't end till then.
We won't hold an HHW collection until probably at least March or April. So it's not like we're under the gun to do this thing tonight.
There's no ongoing work that they're providing right
no,
now?
not
in the
right now.
off time?
Not
Okay.
till spring.
Well, I did ask our prosecutor for the appropriate language, and it would be a motion to lay it on the table. That will give us an opportunity to bring it up at another meeting without a specific date.
Madam Chairman, I would move that we lay the issue of the HHW contract to the table for later discussion and disposal.
Support.
Okay? Moved by Wheelock, support by Max Bauer. Any discussion?
Is it a roll call vote or just a regular?
Just a regular vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That moves us on to department action items from the Planning Department. I see John here to discuss our energy efficiency update.
Good evening, John Syke, Grand Traverse County Planning and Development Director. I'm just going to be brief here this evening. Just wanted to kind of give you an update regarding some of the energy efficiency activities that we've been working on. As the board discussed earlier this year about energy performance contracting with Johnson Controls. Following that process, the county did issue an RFQ back in August. We did receive 5 responses to those RFQs. The 2 local firms of E3 Incorporated and Keen Technical Solutions. And then there was 3 other larger corporations, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, and Siemens, that responded to the request for qualifications. The Capital Review Committee met recently and recommended that the county hold on this process, because one of the things that will be the next step, if you so choose to go down that process, would to be negotiate a contract with one of those firms. Not having a facilities management director makes it very difficult. I'm a planner, I got a planning background, I can help with process and everything like that, but in terms of the technical aspect, we don't have a person in place, so we're suggesting that we hold off on that. At the same time, I just wanted to kind of update you. We did take a peek at the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, just for your information. This is something that's been maintained by the county over the last 5 or 6 years. In terms of our facilities, we just did a report based on the most current data, which has a year ending, which is the most complete report of data for the year ending July 31st, 2015. Compared that with the year ending July 31st, 2010. And we're saving about close to $22,000 annually in energy costs based on some of the improvement. Of note is this building right here, we're saving, in comparison to what we were doing 5 years ago, we're saving $61,000 annually. A lot of those improvements were made possible through some energy efficiency block grants that we received that worked on a lot of the facilities. If you look at the report, a couple other items I just wanted to point out. The health services building, it's twice as large as the previous building, but actually its energy cost intensity per square foot is half the amount that what you were spending on the old building. So you might have a larger building and the cost might be more, but it's only slightly more. You're only spending about $3,000 more, yet you got twice as much building in that. So that just goes back to the quality of the building when we're making improvements. There's a lot more other improvements to our facilities that we can make. Certainly, the Hall of Justice is one that really kind of stands out as an opportunity to really pinpoint some improvements that could be made to that. I did want to point out, I know there was some discussions there have been about using the work release building, and I don't have the most recent data from that, but looking at some of the historical data, that building has not been the most efficient. I know one of the challenges there was the hot water heater, so that's something that just as I think Community Corrections is going to be going in there, might want to look at ways to maybe make some improvements on that building to minimize cost. One of the other things I just wanted to bring to light is that the Michigan Energy Office has a program called the Community Energy Management Services, which is going to be providing grants to communities for up to $50,000. This is a one-for-one grant, meaning for every $50,000 they provide, you have to provide $50,000 or in-kind services. And what this is really doing is providing technical assistance. They want to instill the ability for communities to manage their energy use internally or use a third party to help with the communities to actually lower their energy costs. It's an opportunity, I think, to really, if you want to look at a more kind of a do-it-yourself approach, I think it's an opportunity to continue forward with more improvements. Certainly the opportunity of using the savings that the county is using on an annual basis, the $22,000, could be poured back into additional improvements to bump up the amount of savings. A lot of the savings that we found, particularly when I mentioned this building here, is the lighting in the room. That rate in this whole building was changed over lights back in 2010, and that rate there saved a lot of money, particularly for a building like this that is used many hours that beyond its normal daily use. So those are some things just to consider as we're going forward. There have been some improvements made, internally here that I think we can do and still have immediate savings by the result of those improvements to our facilities. Do you have any questions or?
I have a bunch of questions.
Sure.
First of all, just as a point of clarification, the net savings of the 21.5 is over a 5-year period.
No, it's comparing the 2 years.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand. This wasn't a spectrum between the years. It was literally 1 year versus another.
Yes.
Okay. That was my first question. Hall of Justice would be, obviously, that's our newest of our facilities, yet appears to have some significant energy usage problems on that line. I looked through here, and of the 17 buildings, only 5 had a savings in energy based on changes that we had made. So we certainly have a lot of room for improvement on here. Setting aside from the government center, our largest change was in the jail. It's only $2,000, but I think we've all understood that the jail has some energy efficiency issues. We had discussed it with Johnson Controls, some of the temperature control issues at the jail. So it surprised me to see that next to the government center, the jail had the largest savings in energy efficiency. And I was just kind of wondering why.
Well, I think when Johnson Controls was here, they were talking more of the operational equipment. It doesn't mean that it may be antiquated and have some challenges if it were to break down in terms of replacement costs and so forth. We're still getting probably the most out of it because it's been tweaked and worked on in terms of making sure that it's, we're still getting the best we can out of it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're losing money on it. It just necessarily means that it's an older system. So.
In the Chamber of Commerce, I was discussing with their director, the MEDC is offering 0% loans for energy efficiency changes to municipalities. Locally, we have funding through things like Consumers Energy and Cherryland Electric for these opportunities. Just with our changes that were made prior to the initiative, if you have an annual savings of $21,500, if we were to invest, like you said, at least the dollar amount of our savings that we've seen and use grants, we could reinvest to see probably a fair amount of savings in energy efficiency dollars. And really, those dollars go right back into our general fund. Sort of been a project of mine the last few weeks to try to find dollars that don't involve cutting programs or changing benefits or wages. And I think that this is sort of a real low-hanging fruit for us. First of all, it's just better. We have better efficiency in our buildings and things like that. But to see dollars that we could translate into hopefully the 6-figure range I would hope that we could move forward in looking into some of those low-interest loans for the changes. And that's something that you wouldn't recommend doing, is that's where we're stopping at right now, prior to a facilities director change?
Right. I think at this point, we want to make sure we have the technical expertise of what, for instance, if you did go to some of those energy conservation bonds, which is a great opportunity for the county to consider, we should be identifying what would be those projects. In the CIP, the 5-year capital improvement plan, there are several energy projects identified within that already. So I think some of the work's already been done.
That's what I was wondering. So if we get
Yes.
someone on board and we at least start the initiative with these potential loans, or at least the grants, as you're saying, we may be able to start making changes that could affect our budget next year.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and quite honestly, like, for instance, the Hall of Justice, I don't know all the details of that because I'm not the facilities person, but I know, for instance, in this building right here, a lot of the improvements, those lighting changes weren't that expensive.
Okay.
And so you can, and the nice thing about that, they're quick and easy, and you get the immediate impact and the benefit of the savings of those improvements.
Dean?
We do have the savings here that John has identified. We are accruing those in our facilities fund.
Okay.
It has a fund balance, and if we would go after one of those grants from the Michigan Energy Office, even if it did require a cash match, we have those dollars in that fund to do that, so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this report. It was easy to understand and well done. Any commissioners? Sonny?
I think it's important to note that Grand Traverse County, through its facilities department, have been identifying ways to be more energy efficient for years. That's why we have this energy portfolio. It started in, 2009, John?
Yes.
You know, and we've tracked things every year, and every year facilities comes to the county with a budget request, and many times those items that have been identified are not funded. You know, some of these improvements we identified a long time ago would help us with our energy efficiencies, but the fact was we simply didn't have the money to proceed with those improvements. You know, now with the possibility of some of these grants and the fact that we have identified some savings that we've been able to accrue, that maybe we can move forward with at least one of those projects next year. You know, the Hall of Justice has always been frustrating to me about why the energy costs are as high as they are. You know, that building's only 8 years old. We shouldn't have energy costs as high as it is. But remember that it's not all a new building. There were 2 old stone churches that are the cornerstones of that building. And air flows and all of those things through those buildings is difficult to maintain. And, you know, we've had some issues with the cooler or the chiller on the top and those kind of things, you know, which I thought seemed to should still be under warranty, but it somehow or another the time has escaped me about how long since the building has been built. But we know that we have a very significant energy problem at the Front Street facility. We have a real energy problem at the Woodmere facility. We've identified those needs, and we just simply need to make a commitment of trying to figure out how we fund some of these improvements, and whether we're willing to take the money that we've identified that we save for energy and use it as matching funds for these grants. You know, previously anything that we saved went back to the general fund at the end of the year.
That's not entirely true. And I would remind everyone to look back at when Grand Traverse County was hit with a lower than projected revenue with the CPI, and most of the money came out of the facilities fund. So I just wanted to mention that. While the money is there, doesn't mean it's going to stay there.
Yeah, one of the other things, I mean, you know, that grant for $50,000, and we match it another $50 for a energy consultant. I think we've got enough information now to not even mess with that and to use the money for some other type of thing. If we can get some other types of grants, you know, I don't think we need any more consultants coming in to tell us energy-wise what we need to do. I think there's probably been enough between the Johnson Control and stuff in the past of saying, look,
We've done a good
we
job.
kind of know where we got to go, so.
Wouldn't hurt to set it as a priority. I think these are dollars that can work for us rather than against us without any tangible touch to anyone, other than, if you look up and there's a different kind of light bulb on some of it. One last question, just for clarification, the Vasa Trail, Bartlett Park, what would be the energy expense for there?
That's a good question.
The
I
building,
didn't-
there's a bathroom, we're lighting the facility. There may be a minimal amount of heat that's provided, but I think it's mostly lighting.
Lighting around the trail?
In
No.
the building.
In the building itself? just
This is at the trailhead.
Okay.
And just a clarification on that Michigan Energy Office grant, that's just it's basically a grant we would not have to provide. If
No
we
match.
wanted to go that, you most likely would want to do it in-kind services, so that would be at no cost. That would be using staff time for that. And it's really a technical grant. The idea is either utilizing a third party, contracting out, or internally. I think that would be a great opportunity to start tackling on some of these facilities where you delve down to some of the deeper aspects of, say, the Hall of Justice, and really try to resolve some of that. Maybe it's not needed, but I just wanted to make that aware for your information. So,
Anyone else at all? Thanks, John.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, the next item is under Commission on Aging. First thing we will be discussing is the 2016 outside agency funding.
Good evening. I wanted to also thank our veterans for their service and let you know, also thank our active military because I'm a proud Navy mom. So, go Navy. Outside agency funding, every year for as long as I've been here, which is a long time, we've given out funds to agencies that are not Grand Traverse County agencies. And over the years, we've refined our process, so it's become a grant process. And we've had pretty much the same for applicants apply for the funding each year. And this year, we had a new organization come out and express interest, the Laundry Project. So a packet was also sent to them, and they did not return the request for funding, so we had 4 requests. Meals on Wheels through Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency requested $20,000 for home delivered meals. Senior Companion, which is part of Catholic Human Services, requested $10,000 for Senior Companion Program. The Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan requested $7,500 for Senior Support Services. And Long Lake Township, for their Long Laker Senior Center, requested $1,200 for their Senior Center programming. And this is for 2016. Our budget totaled $40,000, and the amount of the requests are $38,703. And of that, $34,170 will come from our in-home services budget, and $45,33 will come from the Senior Center network budget. The Commission on Aging met October 20th and approved all 4 requests. So we're recommending approval of all 4.
Are there any questions for Georgia or discussion? Bob?
Did the Rock come in with any of this? I know there's been some discussion about trying to get some money for the Rock, and it looks like they would fall under this, but I don't know if they made the deadline.
No, they wouldn't fall under this. This
Well,
is
I
a
see the
little-
Long Lake
well, that-
Senior Center
no,
programming, so.
That's programming, it's not for the building. There's a
Okay.
difference.
We,
But we're in negotiations
Okay.
with the Rock.
yeah,
That's my
we're
concern.
working with Rock right now. We used to fund the Senior Center in Kingsley, but now we do, the Senior Center network provides programming out there, so we don't give them funds, we give them a lot more than what they were getting in programming and support. So, but we haven't, we're in the discussion stage about what's going on with the Rock right now.
Okay.
We've sent them a letter and we're waiting to hear back from them.
I was
so.
out there Friday, and things are going well.
Any other questions for Georgia? I'll make the motion to approve the 4 2016 requests for funding for Meals on Wheels, $20,000, Senior Companion Program, $10,000, Area Agency on Aging of Northwest Michigan, $7,503, and the Long Lakers, is that a typo?
No. Nope.
No,
Okay, the Long Lakers Senior Center, my bad, I did not know, the amount of $1,200.
Support?
Gotta be quicker.
Moved by
He
me,
beat me.
supported by Johnson. You need the
Yes.
buzzer.
Withdraw.
Is there any discussion at all? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. On to the next one, the 2016 millage propositions from the Commission on Aging.
Public Act 39 of 1976 allows the governing body of a local unit of government to submit a millage proposition to the electorate to levy up to 1 mil for services for older adults. The Commission on Aging is supported almost solely by 2 small local millages, one 0.5 mils for in-home services and one 0.1 mil for the senior center network. In-home services millage was first levied in 1987, collected in 88. Since that time, we've levied millages in 1992, 1998, 2004, 2010. The last millage proposal was approved by 81% of the voters, which was the highest in Michigan. The Senior Center Network millage was first levied in 2010 after we merged with the Senior Center and was approved by 69% of the voters. Both in-home services and Senior Center Network millages are set to expire in 2017 and 2016 respectively. When we merged with the Senior Center, their millage period was, they were levied 1 year earlier, and it is our hope at, it won't happen this time, but maybe the next time, that the 2 proposals could be blended together and have 1 proposal instead of 2. But because they're off by a year cycle, we can't do that. The goal is to allow for a possible combination of the 2 propositions with the next election, which will be in 2022. Ballot language has been prepared for both propositions. Both proposition / ballot proposals were reviewed by County Legal Counsel Chris Forsyth and then approved by the Commission on Aging Board October 16, 2015. The projected millage revenue for in-home services is $2,310,264, and that is a estimate for 2016 because I could not get a projection for 2017. And the same is true for Senior Center Network. The projected millage revenue for 2016 is $462,053. Departmental total would be $2,772,317 for .6 mils. And as part of this process, the county board has a policy for requesting that ballot proposals be put on the ballot. So I followed the policy and submitted a letter which is attached detailing the specific information requested by that policy. And also attached are both proposals. So I don't know if you want me to go through the letter.
I don't think that's
I can.
necessary. We were provided with it in a timely manner.
I will say that in regard to justification, in-home services millage accounts for 77% of our budget. So if the millage isn't approved, we will close. There's no doubt. And in Senior Center Network, the millage accounts for 70% of the millage. The Senior Center Network does get some funding from the City of Traverse City, but the outlying centers for sure would close, and most likely Traverse City Center would close also. So these millages are very important to us, and we take both of them very seriously. We are not asking for any increase in the millage. We're just looking for a renewal of both proposals.
Anyone have questions? Christine?
I don't have any question, but I'm ready to make a motion. I would move that the Grand Traverse County Board approve the Commission on Aging Board's recommendation to approve the 2 millage propositions on the August 2nd, 2016 ballot as follows. Number 1, renewal of 0.5 mil levy for 6 years for in-home services to help older adults live safely at home. And number 2, renewal of 0.1 mil levy for 7 years for Senior Center Network educational, recreational, nutritional, and social programming.
Dan?
I'll second.
Yes, you got in. Moved by Maxbar, supported by Lathrop. Any discussion at all? Bob?
Yeah, you know, I mean, this, as you pointed out, this was passed by an overwhelming majority, and I think your whole department does an excellent job of utilizing those funds to the max. So I think we are happy to continually to support this.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. My last item is our strategic plan for the Commission on Aging 2016-2017. We are going back to the basics with two goals. One is for a technology project for in-home services. Our technology is sorely behind. We can't glean any data from the database. We have to, every time we want a piece of data, we have to use a programmer from IT and pay the programmer to write a program to get data. In addition, we use reams and reams of paper. We do work orders that go out with all of our employees. We would really like to get to the point of giving them a tablet or some other form of technology, and the cloud, whatever seems to work the best, and eliminate a lot of that paper, a lot of the time taping, a lot of space for files. So we are, in addition, the programmer that we use in IT is soon to retire, and she is the only one that knows how to do work with that database. And she's been with us since we implemented that, which I believe was in 2000. We've way outgrown it. Our programs have expanded way greater than when we started, and it is definitely time that we start. We have to look at it. The other goal is the Traverse City Senior Center renovation. If any of you have been there, you know that there's a lot of activity there, and a lot of interruptions, a lot of walking through rooms. There's been pipe backups and some issues with electricity, a lot of noise, no room for staff, and so it is also imperative that we renovate that senior center. So those are our two goals for our strategic plan. Staff have set objectives to the goals and timelines, but I think it's pretty simple yet pretty complex goals that we're looking at for the next 2 years.
Do you have any questions at all? Sonny?
Georgia, the only comment that I've made, we've had multiple discussions over the years about the Traverse City Senior Center and whether the renovation of that building makes any sense, for where it's at, what it is, and where it's at, whether we should be looking at an alternative site or at least an alternative building.
We've had a lot of discussion about that, actually, staff, board, senior center members, and my strong impression from the members is that they do not want to leave the water. So, because I could think of some very beautiful sites in the county, but not that site, where they would have a lot more room. There is the possibility that we may no longer be at the Front Street office, so it would be nice at some future date to have the whole organization together instead of split apart. It would be economically making a lot more sense, but right now that's not a possibility, but we have talked a lot about that, Sonny.
Well, I'd just be real concerned about spending $1.7 million to renovate that building.
I would note that the renovation money is not going to be county taxpayer money. And quite honestly, I don't know if you and I will see a renovation of that building in our lifetime, Sonny, but it is not. I think that should be very, very clear. County tax dollars are not going for a city building. This is all private donations and has to date been privately raised.
And the funds are being held with the city, so they are being held publicly, but not with the county, so.
And I would say do whatever you can to keep the same location. I mean, there's something magical about just looking on the water. It's calming, and I wish we could move there.
I have less problem with the location than I do with the building.
So.
Anyone else? You need a motion then?
I would move to approve the strategic plan recommendations as presented.
Second?
Moved by Max Bauer, support by Crawford. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Georgia.
Thank you.
Nice job, Georgia, thank you.
Okay, we're on to Administration and Finance, the Boardman River Dams Implementation Team Point of Contact.
I will run with this. I received this letter from CRA, and based on the board's action last month, and I didn't want this to be a surprise to Tom, but we will, with Chris's assistance, send a letter back to them letting them know that Tom is the point of contact. I mean, that was the action last month, but since we received the request, I wanted to bring it to you, and I can kind of step back out of this one, which would be nice. So we'll take care of that. They do want to know from us who that point of contact is, and it will be Mr. Menzel.
Guess there's no choice, just a personal growth opportunity for
It is,
We are
yes.
informing you that you are now the point of contact.
Joy.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, Dean.
On the unfinished business, updates on boards and committees, you have a list that was distributed by Chris Kramer. And what we have are the results of her casting the net for reappointments and new appointees for all of our various county boards. You will note that a few of them are not included on this, and those are listed at the very bottom on the last page, and we will be moving forward with new information on those. But for right now, I would like to go through and make the reappointments of the incumbents that sought reappointment, and there was no others that applied for that position. I am going to add one appointee. This happened, I serve on a board at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays, so I came right from there to here, and that is the Nature Education Reserve, and we do have a reappointment there, and I'll kind of update you on that. So I'm just going to go through, and then we will appoint an ad hoc committee to conduct interviews for the boards that did have applications received more than for the amount of seats available. And then I see Chris is here, and we can just ask a few questions on the ones at the bottom. The first one I will do is I will make a motion to reappoint incumbent Mark Crane, the City of Traverse City representative to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2018.
Second?
Moved by me, support by Crawford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're on to the Commission on Aging. We have 2 terms that expired at the end of this year, and both of those seat holders are seeking reappointment. We do have...
They're both in the room.
They
And they
both
are.
happen to be in the room. We are also considering the size of the Commission on Aging Board, and that's their discussion to make on their board level. But as far as I understand, we are not seeking to reappoint or appoint anybody for the vacancy that was left by a resignation earlier last year. So if the Commission on Aging moves forward with wanting to fill those seats, they can go through the RMNA process as is. So for right now, I will move to reappoint 2 incumbents, Bill Rokas and Rodetta Heron, to the Commission on Aging for the 3-year term,
Support.
January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2018.
She pushed her button pretty early, but
Okay, that's me, that's Max Bauer. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congrats, Rodetta and Bill. On to the Farmland Preservation Board. 2 terms expire at the end of this year, and both those seated are interested in reappointment. I will make a motion to reappoint 2 incumbents, Patricia Link and Dennis Hoxie, to the Farmland Preservation Board for the 3-year term effective immediately through June 30th, 2018.
second?
Since this is thank you.
Immediate approval.
An immediate approval, we'll do a roll call vote for that.
Okay.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Croupa.
Yes. I will add my insert in now. I will make a motion to reappoint incumbent Arlen Mattson to the Nature Education Reserve for a 3-year term, effective immediately through December 31st of 2018.
Support.
And we'll need a roll call vote for that one.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Croupa.
Yes. On to Hospital Finance Authority. I would like to make a motion to reappoint incumbent Dale Starrett to the Hospital Finance Authority for the 5-year term, effective immediately through June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Cropa?
Yes. To Veterans Affairs Administration, we have 2 terms that expire at the end of this year. Both incumbents are interested in reappointment. I make a motion to reappoint 2 incumbents, Laverne Broden and John Block, to the Veterans Affairs Administration Board for the 4-year term, January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2019.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to Workforce Development Board. 2 incumbents for 2 terms that expire December 31st of this year. I will make a motion to reappoint the incumbents Sue Peters and Ken Osborne to the Workforce Development Board for the 2-year term, January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2017.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? On to the Traverse Area District Library, the County Planning Commission, and the Building Authority. They each have more than 1 applicant for their current vacancy. I'm going to appoint an ad hoc committee to conduct interviews. We will use 1 committee for all 3 boards, and hopefully make them all in a really tight area of interview time. Do I have any volunteers for the ad hoc committees? Okay, I will take Dan, and I will take Christine and myself for the ad hoc committee to interview applicants for the Traverse Area District Library Board, County Planning Commission, and Building Authority. Down to the end, due to several outstanding questions, additional information will be forthcoming regarding appointments to the Board of Public Works, the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Building Code Appeals Board, the Natural Education Reserve Board, and the County Economic Development Board. The Natural Education Board, just to update you on that, Arlen, we had 2 vacancies that would be through the end of the year. Arlen sought reappointment. Our other board member, Bob Karstens, chose not to seek reappointment to the board. And then we also had a resignation of a gentleman as well for an appointment, or for a seat that goes further. I believe it's 2 more years. The board is going to meet again in February, and they are going to decide, thinking of changing their bylaws to have it not be 6 at-large citizens, but citizens that represent specific things. They were thinking about someone from the public schools, someone from the Audubon Society, someone from the hiking club, and so on. So that board, which I am on, will meet, and I will update you through RMNA if we change our appointment process from there. But until then, Arlen will be reappointed, and that gives us more than a quorum to continue to meet as well. And Chris, on to the rest of them.
Yes, ma'am. I just, I didn't get Elisa's note until 5:45 because I was out enjoying my afternoon off. And she didn't have the opportunity to call me, but she said she had questions, so that's why I showed up.
So my first question was I got a hold of Commissioner Maxbauer regarding the Commission on Aging. I wanted to know if their board had made any decisions that we could help with, but they haven't. My second one was to discuss the NER with you. And my third question would be, what kind of timeline are we looking at for Board of Public Works, Parks and Rec, and Building Code of Appeals and the EDC?
We could probably have them by the end of the month. They're actually questions on the actual appointments.
Okay.
They're not, the Public Works appointment, I believe, is a city appointment, and I questioned the term. I didn't know the specific term, because the Public Works Board actually has 3 years term, and I think that the city just appointed somebody for a year, so I wanted to verify that before I actually had you make the appointment.
Do we anticipate interviews for any of these?
Pardon me?
Do we anticipate interviews for any of these?
I'm not positive.
Okay.
Parks and Rec, I'm not sure. I had a call in to Chris, and we didn't touch base, and she seemed to have a question about it, so I wanted to wait on that one and verify that with her. Building codes, I'm just having trouble getting hold of one of the incumbents, and we don't have another one, so we'll have to re-advertise, or we'll have to seek somebody out for that because it's a specialized one. And then I wanted to know what was going on with the Natural Education Reserve,
Well,
because I knew there was at least one additional vacancy on that.
I did have time to talk to Chris Erickson today, and we have kind of made a decision on parks.
Okay.
So we'll get together with you on that.
So we can get that back either next week or at the end of the month.
Although the motion stated specifically interviews for Tattle County Planning and Building Authority, I'd like to reserve the right to use the same ad hoc committee day and time if we do solve some of these questions, and then we can just be a little more efficient and get those done at.
Yeah, that was my suggestion, is that we only put together one ad hoc committee, because I think there's only like maybe 3 additional people plus the incumbent, so there's not a huge number of people that
Okay,
are
great.
looking to be interviewed.
Thanks for all your work on this. Okay, on to new business. Summary of agenda items regarding budgets and benefits, and I will turn that over to Tom and Dean.
Well, you have a number of items to look at tonight, and the summary page really summarizes it nicely, and we're looking at change in Medicare retiree health care, eliminating that. The non-contact hourly and exempt early retiree health care change would put a $100 cap.
You got to talk closer to the microphone.
Would result in a savings of
Is it on?
$7,600.
Yeah.
And the,
It's a microphone.
oh, okay. I'll put it right here. And for non-contract employees and elected officials, wage and benefit change would be no wage increases, which would save $97,000, and a change from 6% for the employee share to 10% for the healthcare premiums would save $49,903. And if we go to a HMO, we won't need the insurance agent contract to negotiate contracts. That would save $55,300. And the health benefits would go to a HMO from an EPO, which means you have to stay within network, and that would save around $141,994. And the dental benefits would stay the same. So the total savings from these above-mentioned items would be $381,858. Dean, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Not at this point.
Dan?
Would that be per year?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so in 4 years or so, it'd be $1 million.
And as you move forward with the HMO, everyone would eventually be on that program, and we go into contractual negotiations, we would have uniformity throughout the system. That's what we would negotiate for.
Are we going to talk about each of these individually, or can we just
Sure, I can,
talk, or can we
whatever.
ask questions about any and all
Sure,
at this
sure,
point?
we've got,
The HMO, is the HMO less expensive for employees? Is that correct? And for the county?
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you're asking them to, instead of contribute 6%, contribute 10%, it's actually 10% of a smaller number. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Anyone else have any specific questions? Bob?
And how many, I think I've asked this before, do we know a specific number of employees this affects, 160, 170?
With the non-contract exempt hourly and the groups that we have to negotiate with this year, it's 169 employees out of 450 total.
I have a question.
Yes.
This coverage is essentially pretty
Same.
much the same.
Yeah, you have to stay in network.
Yeah. And we intend, I think it's the intent of the board to use this as a template as we move forward.
Yes.
So this is just the beginning of it. It's going to be, if we can apply it across the board.
Well, I think it's important that we set the standard, and in discussions with some people today, they said in the past this would take place, and then they would negotiate something else for the unions, and it wouldn't be fair. And I assured them that my intent was to be fair across the board, that this was for everybody, it would be uniform, and we weren't going to make exceptions, that if we went to an HMO, the intent of this administration would be that everyone would eventually be on an HMO.
When I look at these things in general, you know, I won't say the department head that called me, but it's one I respect incredibly. And we had a long talk on the phone, and afterwards for, I don't know, the whole day I felt heartbroken, because I know that these changes are hard for people. But I have to remind myself, I have 90,000 people that are in this county, and we are in trouble financially. It's said we don't need an emergency manager right now, but I talked with Steve Peacock recently, as early as today, and these are the recommendations that he made. In fact, they're not as stout as he really wanted. He says if we continue what we're doing in 2 to 5 years, we will need an emergency manager. So we have 90,000 people that don't want $58 million of county debt, don't want to borrow money, and don't want their taxes raised. So we have to come up with a fair and equitable way representing not only our employees, but our citizens as well. So I'm looking at 90,000 people, and especially my constituents who've talked to me. So I'm going to support these changes. I know they're hard, but if we all want to be here 5 years from now and not under a emergency manager, I think we have to face these changes.
I would just build on Mr. Latham's comments in that when you look at the marketplace and what others are doing, the city, for example, has had a 20% share for years. We're only asking for 10. So we're trying to be as balanced and fair as we can and do it across the board and look at a number of things that we can save money on. And the things that we're asking for in terms of providing paying for supplemental insurance for retirees just isn't done anymore. You saw it, the Munson Hospital just recently ended it themselves. So if we could afford to do it, it would be wonderful to do, but we no longer have the ability to do that. So that's why we're doing it, not to be cruel, not to be insensitive, not to be non-caring, but to be realistic in terms of what you can afford to pay. And we can't afford to do all the things we've done for years. So we're trying to be fair, and I think this is an easy way to start that process for structural change.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make these motions one at a time.
We do need to have each item.
I would move to reduce the county's budget for the Medicare retiree health care group from $30,000 to zero, effective January 2016. Retirees currently in this group can continue coverage by paying 100% of the premium. Renew our Medicare supplement plan with PBS United American for 2016, and update the county policy in accordance with these recommendations. For immediate effect.
We have support.
Support immediate effect.
Moved by Max Bauer, support
Well, it
by
said,
Johnson.
in my motion, it said effective January 1, but this is going to be a board vote tonight, since we're all here, and Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming, and we're not all going to be here.
She moved for all four. Okay. I just wanted to get clarification from Bob, and then I'll get to you, Sunny. We can make the motions like you just did, but Bob wanted us to know that if there is a specific bullet item that we maybe don't want to make the motion for or separate them out for discussion, that we can do them all individually as well, and then we can proceed that way.
I'm ready to
But
just...
this one, you made the motion for all four.
For all
I
four.
just wanted to know to any future motion makers, that's how it is. Sunny?
Well, a couple of things. One, I'm not prepared to support a motion to include all of these at one time. I'd like to have some discussion about them individually. But another factor that enters in here is we have some retirees that are guaranteed post-employment health benefits were negotiated in their contract, and I don't remember how many of those there are, but I know that there are at least a couple of groups that were guaranteed post-employment health insurance. So, we need to know that as part of this discussion, that there are still going to be employees.
Oh, there are.
Or previous employees that are still receiving health benefits. So I'd like to have an idea about what number of people that is compared to how many people we're actually affecting here. But the other thing that I want to say is that every employer that I know, myself included, is struggling trying to figure out what is the amount of health insurance benefit that we can provide to our employees. Because every year the number gets higher and higher and higher. You know, we've seen about an 8.5% increase for 2016 at the county. You know, and there's going to come a time here that no employer, county or otherwise, is going to be able to afford to buy health insurance for their employees. You know, and a number of you have heard me make the comment that, you know, there's, you know, the Affordable Health Care Act out there, and it has a number of programs. I could purchase the premium program under the Affordable Health Care Act for all of my employees that I'm currently insuring and save my company $100,000 a year. You know, it doesn't take a real smart guy to figure out that I really should be looking at doing this differently than the way I'm doing it now. But that being said, my employees would not have the same benefits. I do support the idea going from the EMO to the HMO. I don't think our employees are going to see the difference. I made that switch a long, long time ago, and you certainly see no difference whatsoever locally. The only place you will see a difference is if you're traveling throughout the country. There may be some issues because you're outside of network and you'll have to pay and then be reimbursed by your insurance company. But, you know, I really don't see that as a huge factor.
Madam Chair, in answer to your question, Commissioner Wheelock, this is only for non-contract employees. We aren't allowed to do that for the contract employees, but we will attempt in contract negotiations to make sure that that's part of it.
So when you negotiate with each of the bargaining units,
Yes, yeah,
you negotiate on behalf of retirees and active employees, right?
Right.
Okay.
On the
So the
agreement.
5 bargaining groups that are up this year, those 5, this motion or recommendation, motion of a recommendation, covers the negotiations for the retirees under those 5 plans?
It gives a direction as to what we're attempting to do.
So
Yeah,
the
it's in
immediate effect is on
negotiations.
non-contract employees?
That is correct.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, you know, none of this is easy. I mean, all of us on this board understand that if it costs the employee more money, it's not a good thing. But we have to look at sustainability. I mean, just cutting the budget itself does nothing for us in the future. I mean, we could easily say, let's do a hiring freeze, other things to get through next year, but that does nothing in the future. And we're looking in worse shape as the future goes by, between the OPEB and the unfunded and in all honesty, all the additional revenue that we're losing. So none of this is easy, and I think every one of us would rather not be up here making these decisions, but for sustainability in this county, we have to move in this direction, unfortunately.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have support. Is there any other discussion on this particular
Just
motion?
to clarify, the motion is to approve these 6 items?
No,
No.
just number 1. Just number 1.
There's 4
Just number
bullet,
1.
Just
okay,
number
I'm
4
okay with
bullet items under recommendation number 1, so that would cover. But as Bob reminded us, if we are more comfortable with splitting the bullet items beyond that, we can even do that. Carol?
I know at the beginning, you did say that there may be a chance for public comment on some of these things. Do you want to open each one of these up before we actually vote on them for public comment, or?
I would probably defer to the council next. Okay.
I think you should.
The boss says yes, so I say yes. And before we do that, I just need to clarify a few things with Tom or Dean, because I think that there is a lot of misunderstandings out there, including by people that need to make decisions, so it's important to have it all clear. The first thing I would like to make clear, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Michigan Constitution protects pensions of retired employees. We cannot remove the pensions of retired employees. Is that correct?
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
The Constitution does not protect retiree health care.
That's correct.
We cannot raise our taxes in Grand Traverse County because of the Headley Amendment. We are capped out.
Without a vote of the electorate, no.
No.
It would
This board
require-
is not able to raise taxes. Okay. I
That's
just
correct
wanted
as
to make
well.
that clear. There seems to be a lot of questions surrounding those three items, and it's important to have solid.
The only way that you can deal with pensions would be in a bankruptcy.
Right.
And that was proven in case law in Detroit.
In Detroit, the Supreme Court upheld that the Michigan
Could
Constitution
go back
protects the
and change
pensions of
pensions
retired.
if you go into emergency manager bankruptcy status.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to speak on the topic of retiree health care changes?
Medicare
I'm
retiree.
sorry, Medicare health care changes.
These are
Okay.
There's a hand in the way back.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
sorry, I can't
Yep.
see with the paper taped up on the window there.
I have a different vantage point.
Yes, I also can't see anybody over there.
No? I'll help you point them out.
Oh, and then there's the eyesight.
Not surprised.
I'm David Lather. I'm a non-contract Medicare retiree. And what I would like to address before you get to the renewal of the United American Benefit Program, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but CMS Medicare in July had sent a letter of imposition of sanctions against Telemark, who owns United American. They're on sanctions, and there's a pretty blistering letter that they got. They're one of the worst offenders that Medicare is taken care of. So I would like to bring that to the public's attention before you get to that point. I realize that my benefits are going to be gone, my health insurance, the county's part, and I want to leave this on a positive note. And I appreciate the years that I have had it, and I've appreciated when it was dropped down to 100,000. This last year, I've had a lot of difficulty with United American. I paid my premiums to the county every month, and I've had around 12 or 13 Part B claims, and the insurance program has paid nothing. The $250 deductible that they claimed was the deductible is actually $1,750. So they will pay nothing until you have written checks out of your checkbook for $1,750. They changed, when I questioned that, they changed their EOBs, their explanation of benefits, to reflect that, but early on, that was not reflected. And I have to blame myself for not being smart enough to ask that question when we had the meeting in 2014 before we went into that program. I wasn't smart enough to figure that out. So anyway, I was very disappointed with the program this year. The fact that you're dropping it makes it really easy for me because I'll just find another program, and I have, and it's less money and it's more benefits. So with that, I would thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lather. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this topic? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Michael Miller. I am a retired 13th Circuit Court employee. I never was a Grand Traverse County employee. In that same regard, I would point out, maybe as a reminder, some of you, Grand Traverse County does not foot the entire bill for our health insurance. They are partially reimbursed, the last I knew, on a caseload basis by, for a great number of years now, Antrim County and Leelanau County. So I ask you to take that into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on this particular item? Okay, we will close public comment. Are there any questions from commissioners?
I'm concerned about the comments that Dave made in regard to PBS United American. Do we have any history on this? Can we get answers on this?
And we can ask our HR department, Sally, to check into it.
The fact that Mr. Lather stated that he has found better benefits for less money speaks to the necessity of this motion, in my opinion. And, I agree with you. If we have a service problem, we need to address it. But I don't think that should affect the motion on the floor.
Well, my concern is we have, as mentioned earlier, we have other employees other than non-contract that we are still paying post benefits for. If we are contracting with United American for those benefits and our previous employees are not being properly served, that concerns me significantly.
So can we remove that particular bullet point from the motion?
What?
Can we remove the renewal?
Of the Medicare supplement plan with United American for 2016 till we have time to research the issues that were brought up?
Sure. Yeah, you can
So I'm
certainly
not
do
really
that.
willing to renew it if it's not,
I mean, the action would be the same to reduce, to remove the 30,000.
Right.
And
No question about that.
Right.
Bob, would it be appropriate to render an amendment
That's what we're discussing right now.
to delete the renewal of the United American portion of this amendment, and then we'd have to vote?
Wants to do that and lay it on the table for discussion at a later date.
How about a friendly amendment that I reduce the county's budget for this group from $30,000 to zero effective January 1, 2016? And retirees currently in this group can continue group coverage, that's at their choice, by paying 100% of the premium. How's that?
I'm good.
The end.
Okay.
I think that's what Commissioner Crawford is looking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. All right?
Okay.
And I will
second is
support that.
okay.
Okay, we have an amended motion and second. Is there any other discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think you need a roll call vote because this is effective immediately.
Oh, yes.
All of
was
No,
these-
it's not. It's effective January 1st.
Well, it was for immediate effect,
To
but the
be
motion was
in-
effective January 1st.
All of the ones he has on here are effective immediately.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that part. I just saw the January 1st date. I believe I heard the motion maker and the second say immediate approval.
We did.
So we will go to a roll call vote.
Okay.
We meant that.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Kropa.
Yes. Next, I would like to make a motion to table a renewal of our Medicare supplement plan with PBS United American for 2016 for later discussion.
Second?
Is there any further comments?
I mean, yeah, I think we need to get some clarification if there is some issues. I mean, every one of these is probably going to have issues if you dig deep enough, but
So Madam Chair, are you looking for us to look at alternative options than that particular one?
Well, if I read this correctly, Tom, we received 4 bids from different companies. Let's take a look at not just the
Others.
dollar amount, but let's look and see what the coverages are
Yeah,
on those 4
yeah.
bids.
Yeah, we could do that. I think the group rates is what brings it down, of course, and if there's something that's better, I quite frankly don't know why that one was particularly chosen by HR. I don't know why they picked that one. I'll find out.
yeah, and I get, like I said, I guess dig a little into the companies. If there is, an issue with them, we definitely, we don't want that added strain.
Yeah, I
retirees
don't
as it is.
understand what, if there was a 250 deductible and someone had to pay 1750, there's got to be more to it than that. That doesn't sound right, so I need to know more about it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we need to address the bullet point of updating county policy in accordance with these recommendations?
If there's a motion to.
We do. I would move to update the county policy in accordance with the recommendation that we reduce the county's budget for this group from $30,000, and I'm talking about the Medicare retiree health care group, to zero effective January 1, 2016. And retirees currently in this group may continue group coverage by paying 100% of their premium. This is a motion we've already passed. I'm just saying, let's update the county policy accordingly.
Okay, so we do not need to have a motion for that?
No, I'm making the motion right now.
Okay, for immediate approval?
It doesn't have to be for immediate approval, but if that'll make you happy, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Max Bauer, support by Crawford. Bonnie?
Lathrop,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Croupa,
Yes. Move on to recommendation number 2. This is regarding non-contract hourly and exempt early retiree health care. Current county policy provides for a post-retirement insurance benefit to non-contract hourly and exempt employees. The benefit is for a percentage of premium covered by the county ranging from 30 to 70% depending upon their combined age and years of service. Most retirees are at a 50% premium share. There are currently 7 retirees in this group. In 2013, the county cost was $10,950. In 2014, $9,886. And this amount is projected to be about $16,000 in 2015. Do we have any motions regarding this?
Madam Chair, I would move for immediate effect to change the employer contribution for the non-contract hourly and exempt early retiree health care from the percentage range to employer pays up to $100 per month per retiree effective January 1, 2016, and to update the county policy in accordance with these recommendations.
Is that for immediate approval?
Yes, she said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that part, thank you.
Second.
Dan supports. Moved by Max Bauer, support by Lathrop. And do we have any commissioner questions or discussion items? And then we will open up for public comment on this specific item. Sonny?
Well, I think that the difference here is the fact that these are employees who retired and are receiving health insurance benefit prior to becoming of Medicare age. Just for a clarification of what this group constitutes, I wasn't sure if everyone understood that. We have a couple different groups here, well, we have a whole bunch of different groups because that's why we have 13 bargaining units. That's another whole story. But the fact is we have retirees that have retired from Grand Traverse County that are not yet Medicare eligible, and that is the group that is in this group. Now, today the number is 7. That number has fluctuated up and down over the years, just depending on who was there, when their birth dates were, when they retired compared to when they, in fact, became Medicare eligible. Just wanted to clarify that.
Dean or Tom, was there any comments at all or clarifications? Or
No, Sonny explained it well. It's, most people will wait till they go on COBRA 18 months before they go to 65. This is kind of an interim option for them, but it caps it, which is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to have predictable costs as compared to all over the board, and this caps it at $100 and provides people still the option.
Yeah. Do we have anyone from the audience that would like to speak regarding this specific agenda item? Come on up.
My name is Kathy Miller, and it doesn't take much for this to get over my head, as far as understanding it. And in my particular situation, 50% of my health insurance personally was covered. Are you saying that that will go away, but that I could still obtain insurance through the county as a retiree for my family if I paid whatever the premium is? Or are you saying I can't obtain health insurance anymore through the county as a retiree?
Well, normally we don't do questions and public comment, but I'm going to open up this evening to let everybody have the opportunity. The right people to answer the questions are in the room. So I'm going to just say you can go ahead and have a dialogue with Dean or Tom, somebody that could maybe answer that question for you. Dean.
So you're currently receiving the 50%?
Just on me.
Just for you?
And then we paid full price on the rest of the family. Are you saying your proposal is to take it away so you won't give me my 50% of my personal insurance, but I can still get insurance with the county for my family? Or are you saying guess what? You can't get insurance through the county anymore as a retiree. Which of those two is this proposal?
To answer the first question, you're in this group, you are non-contract exempt.
Yes.
This would cap that monthly payment for you, and the benefit right now is for you only. It doesn't.
The benefit is for me, the 50% benefit
Right,
is for me. But I'm still allowed to insure my family through the county insurance.
We're not changing that as
No, we're
long
not.
as you pay the premium, but this change would limit the amount that we're paying for you individually to $100 per month.
Okay.
But you
it.
still
That's
can
helpful.
have the insurance.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Still can have the insurance.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else addressing this topic? Georgia?
As you know, I'm retiring December 30th, and so am I falling into this group then? Because I'm working the numbers now, so, because I'm not an early retiree, but I'm going to be a retiree.
You're non-contract exempt?
Yep.
Yes, you are falling within this revision.
All right.
Is there anyone else at all?
Chris back in the corner.
Kramer has a question.
Oh, Chris Kramer. I should be able to see
I
you.
just wanted to clarify, Commissioner Max Bauer's motion was up to $100. And I just want to know if it's how that less than, I mean, if that would only be if the insurance was under $100, correct?
If we happen to be able to get it for
Yeah,
less than
I didn't-
$100,
okay.
and what are the chances of that?
But it's going to be $100 then,
Yes,
basically.
slim and none and slim is left down. I hear
Okay.
you.
Anyone else? Be sure to wave some sort of flag, and I apologize if I don't see you.
Because you're not tall enough to see over your screen.
No, no.
I spoke before, but
You're welcome to come back up.
In regard to the $30,000 cost to the county, is there any way of finding out if that's a true cost, or is that partially reimbursed by Antrim County and Leelanau County?
Oh.
For
I believe
court
that's
employees?
Grand Traverse County's budgeted number.
It is.
So that would be the
That is
mon-
only
that-
Grand Traverse County's
That is
budgeted
only
number.
Grand Traverse County's portion of the general fund money that's going into that account.
That is, excuse me, that is correct. That's a general fund cost. We are not invoicing or billing that back to any other entity currently.
I do have one more question. The health insurance capped at $100, does that include the dental too? Is the 100, does that include
No,
everything, or is
no, it
dental
does not.
separate?
No.
That is addressed in a different
Okay.
item.
It's coming, it's the last one.
It's coming up. Okay, did we get everybody's chance to ask questions? Okay. I am going to ask for a roll call vote, please. Bonnie?
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Cropa?
Yes. On to recommendation number 3, non-contract and elected officials, excluding the drain commissioner and county surveyor, wage and benefit changes for 2016. The board is required on an annual basis to approve the wage and benefit package for all non-contract hourly and exempt employees and elected officials. The proposed changes for the non-contract hourly exempt and elected officials groups are: no wage increase for 2016. Change to the Priority Health HMO plan, which will provide substantially equivalent benefits as the current plan in effect. Increase the employee premium share from 6% to 10%, effective January 1st, 2016. I have a question on this one. Dean, excluding drain commissioner and county surveyor, that's because they are elected officials that are not allowed at all to participate in our health insurance program?
That's my understanding, why they're excluded here. They're not currently receiving any health insurance benefit.
And they're not given the opportunity to even purchase into a health insurance?
I believe they can purchase, but I don't know if they are or are not. I did not write this, so I'm not exactly sure why that was there, but I thought that was why that was included.
Yeah, I don't remember, I'm not sure, I know we discussed it in detail. I'm not sure what the reasoning was
That was my understanding.
that they were excluded. Did we talk to you, Bob, about it in
Well,
terms of our ability to actually do
You
that?
didn't, but I was certain it was because of the health insurance, the fact that these two elected officials don't receive it, so
All right.
I think that's the only reason.
Okay. Do we have a motion on this?
I can do it again. All right. I would move that non-contract and elected officials, excluding the drain commissioner and county surveyor, receive no wage increase for 2016, and by the way, I'm including us, because we are elected officials. Change to Priority Health HMO plan, which will provide substantially equivalent benefits as the current plan in effect, and increase employee premium share from 6% to 10% effective January 1st, 2016, and I am making this motion for immediate approval.
Support?
Moved by Maxbar, support by Crawford. Just as a note of clarification, it's non-contract hourly and exempt employees and elected officials.
Yes.
Excluding the drain commissioner
Yes.
and county surveyor.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Sonny?
I think this question probably has to go to Bob because of the fact that employees, including county commissioners, if they in fact have the county's plan, are being asked to pay more. Is that considered a reduction of benefit? Because we cannot reduce county commissioners' salary and benefit during the term of their office.
You can't reduce their salary, but you can reduce an elected official's benefits,
And we checked it out
generally speaking.
legally.
Well, it's just,
And
it's always
in
been
this
kind of a
case,
gray
the
area.
benefit that's being reduced is something that you can affect now.
And that goes for all elected officials, you, the prosecutor, Bonnie, the clerk, all of it?
Yep, all of us.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Sonny?
Do we have, and I know that there's no cut and dried formula here, but do we have any idea how much of a pay increase some county employees are going to receive as a result of this? If we give no pay increase and we require them to pay more health insurance, and we all know that the health insurance is more expensive this year than last year, do we have any idea how much of a net reduction is going to be in their take-home pay, if you will?
Yeah, individualized basis, wouldn't it?
No, I mean, you'd have to look at each individual and...
Yeah, and I know they're going to be all over the place.
You know
I
that
was
I'm
just
not
trying
going to
get
throw a
some
number
idea.
out at you. I simply don't know. And
I wanted to say too to the people standing back there, we have a bunch of chairs in here. If you're welcome to come in and sit if you don't want to stand through the whole thing. But if you're not wanting to come any closer and be on TV, I get that too. But you're welcome to come forward. Is there any other questions at all by anyone on the board? Okay, then we will open up public comment to anyone on this particular agenda item. Okay. Seeing none, I will ask for a roll call vote. Oh, Bob?
Yeah, and I just want to
Oh,
clarify.
Sherry.
Okay.
Sherry trumps you, Bob.
A lot of people do.
Get used to it.
Sherry Wolf, Deputy Finance Director. I just wanted some clarification about the last group that we exempted, the drain commissioner and the county surveyor. And my question is, they don't receive those benefits for health insurance now, but what if the one in the future does? Are they automatically exempted? And does that include the wage increase as well? So if you and other elected officials are not receiving a wage increase based on this last motion, does that mean the drain commissioner and the county surveyor will be receiving one?
I was going to make that motion after. I just wanted to do this. They're exempted from this because they do not have medical coverage. So what I was going to do, and the reason I asked for clarification, is I will handle that in a separate motion.
Okay, I appreciate that because this motion does include wage increases as well.
I understand that.
Okay, thank
That
you.
was the
I
plan.
appreciate that, thank you.
Sonny?
Well, and when I read this the other night, and I thought about it during the discussion again tonight, I don't understand why they are being excluded. The policy has to do to the position, not to the person that is sitting in that position. I'm not sure why we've excluded them in this motion and in this discussion, because nothing says in 2016 or whatever year it's going to be, the same individual is going to be the county drain commissioner or the county surveyor. But the policy that we're setting here, and we're saying in here that we're gonna change the county policies to reflect these changes. The policy should be set for the position, not for the individual. The fact that the current drain commissioner nor the current surveyor currently are eligible or are receiving health insurance benefits should have nothing to do with the policy.
I think Chris will answer, because I think you may have
I
misunderstood
can.
something.
The reason it was written this way, Commissioner Wheelock, was bullet point number 2, change to Priority Health HMO, which will provide substantially equivalent benefits as the current plan in effect, which do not cover the drain commissioner or the county surveyor. Consequently, they were excluded because we are talking about insurance that they do not receive. We can certainly cover no wage increase for those two individuals and increase their premium share, which neither one of them pay because neither one of them have insurance, separately. The reason they were excluded is because of the insurance portion of the motion. And you're certainly welcome to freeze their salary in 2016.
Well, the problem in my mind is the fact that I'm guessing, and I have not done the research to find out, but I'm guessing we have other county employees that may be in this non-contract exempt group that are not currently receiving health insurance benefits because they receive their benefits from a spouse or another source.
Doesn't affect that.
Well, but that's, the thing is, if you're exempting them from the discussion and from the motion, do you in turn exempt other county people that are in that same category?
Would you like
that
me
don't
to
have health
include them?
insurance? I would prefer that they were included in the motion. Personally, because I suspect that we have other county employees that may be in this category that are not receiving health care benefits from Grand Traverse County because they're receiving them from a spouse or another source.
That's not what this
and
is.
therefore, they should be included.
That's not what this is. If you are the drain commissioner, it doesn't matter if you're married or not, if you can get insurance somewhere else, you literally have no option to get insurance through Grand Traverse County.
That was my question. Are they
The
just not
county
offered?
surveyor literally has no option. It's not about the person, it's about the
But
office.
I'm willing
You
to
made
give them
your
the
own
option
point.
if you want.
Your own point is, this person literally cannot get insurance. It doesn't matter what rule we pass.
No, they
They
can't.
literally, and that's
And
the
if you
thing,
think
why
that's
can't the
unfair,
county surveyor and the county
I'll
drain
change the
commissioner get
motion
insurance?
to include.
I don't know.
I guess I had forgotten that they were not eligible to receive
They're
it.
not.
Because I thought they got it, but they could
No.
purchase it, but they had to pay for it.
No, they can't.
They absolutely are unable to get
No.
insurance through Grand
Now,
Traverse
if you would
County.
like me to include them, I'd be more than happy to amend my motion.
But if we were to include them in the motion, it would have opened up the door for that discussion. So I will make a second motion for them that covers wage increases, and I will do it. But we need to do this appropriately, and those two people out of all the employees are unable to get medical insurance in Grand Traverse County.
Your choice. I can amend it.
And I just want to clarify, because I think we've said it before today, or tonight, that, part of the hope is with this HMO, we're going to close that gap too. So the 10% hopefully will not be as big of an increase as it currently would be.
Right, it's
Yes.
10% of a smaller
The
number.
HMO cost is lower than if we would have stayed with the EPO. And we have confirmed with Priority that there's less disruption, which means that there won't be that big of a change with the providers that the employees use, and that's a big thing.
I will amend my motion if you want. Going once, going twice, let me know. I'll include them if you want me to. It's the office.
Yeah, I think they should be included.
All right.
I really do.
I will amend my motion to include the drain commissioner and the county surveyor.
But they can't be because
Yeah, we can.
by county, well, you're changing county policy to allow them to purchase the insurance. Is that
We
actually
can
what you're
change
doing?
county policy.
I just want to be clear that that's exactly what you're
That
doing.
is what we
You're
are
allowing
doing.
them
That-
the opportunity
If Commissioner Wheelock...
to purchase the
And
insurance.
I hear what he's saying, and I happen to agree with him. So I will amend my motion.
Okay, the second was,
I
I think it was you.
It was Crawford.
I don't know if I,
We need a yes or a no.
I'll go with that.
And
I just think, I'm not saying that the county should be responsible to pay for their health insurance, but how do you say that the other elected officials have the eligibility of purchasing health insurance? They have to pay for it, but
I agree
these
with
elected
you.
officials
I
can't
agree
even
with you.
purchase it even when they pay for it.
I agree with you.
I somehow or another missed that somewhere along the discussion, obviously.
All righty.
And just to fill in one other answer, I did ask somebody who is affected by this policy change, and for a double or family, it's about an extra $46 a month. Okay,
Hold on, I gotta look at something here. Wait a second.
by making this motion, are we allowing the county surveyor and county drain commissioner to now have health insurance?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know, and I think Dean said he didn't know for sure whether they were allowed to purchase the county's health insurance plan, so I don't know if you're agreeing to do that or not. But,
I wouldn't think that this is, all this is saying that if they were able to, in my opinion, if they were able to, then this is how it would be, but I don't think if it's written somewhere that they're not allowed to, we haven't changed that, in my opinion.
All I'm saying, I will clarify. I'm saying that no contract, no non-contract and elected official will get a wage increase for 2016. I am also saying that if they have health insurance, they are going to have the HMO plan like everybody else.
At
Okay?
10% contribution.
And if they purchase it, they're going to pay 10%, not 6%, like everybody else.
That's all you need to do.
That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
Roll call,
You good with
please.
that?
I'm good with that.
All right, and Dr. Lathrop, you'll have to recuse yourself.
I planned on it.
We have the motion by Max Bauer, support by Crawford, amended a few times and discussed a little bit more. And we'll have a roll call, please, Bonnie.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Lathrop,
I recuse myself.
Johnson,
Yes.
Cropa.
Yes. Okay, we will move on to recommendation number 4, insurance agent contract. Currently, the county has a consultant services agreement with Brown & Brown of Central Michigan Incorporated to provide services for reviewing, bidding, and analyzing the county's insurance coverages, to provide education to employees on coverage changes, etc. This is a 3-year agreement expiring at the end of 2016. The annual cost of this agreement is $55,300. Due to a required 90-day notice prior to the effective date of termination, notice has been given to provide an agreement termination date of January 31st, 2016.
I will make a motion that we terminate the contract with Brown & Brown as soon as allowed under the agreement, for immediate effect.
Support by
second.
Dan?
Yep.
Okay, any discussion by commissioners? Sonny?
The only question I have is, a key piece of this component was the education piece and working with our employees to understand their insurance. In that we do not have an HR director, and I don't know that I see one on the horizon anytime soon. I'm concerned whether or not we have the expertise to handle that education and handle the questions for our employees without having this individual.
Sally is capable of doing that, and what they basically did was shop each year for us, and we're going to a consistent HMO plan, so we don't need to shop anymore, so we don't need to have them do that. But the HR function should do that, and Sally is quite capable of explaining this to anyone.
And I would have thought, of course, it's my first year doing this, but I would have thought that if you'd have gone to some of these insurance companies, that they would have been more than happy to show you what they could do for you, for the amount of money we would be spending.
I was surprised when I saw that, too. It didn't make a lot of sense, but we fixed it with this, if you pass it, of course.
I will open up for public comment on the agenda item of the contract with Brown and Brown. Is there anyone that would like to speak to that? Is Brown or Brown here? No? Okay. Any commissioners at all? No? We have a motion by Crawford, support by Lathrop, I believe. Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Klaus?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Cropa?
Yes. Recommendation number 5, health benefits. We worked with our agent and Priority Health to look at different plans to provide savings, and by moving to the HMO platform, it will provide a savings of approximately 2.7% over the current EPO plan option. This change will provide substantially equivalent benefits as required under our labor agreements. Is there a motion?
I would move with immediate effect to renew our contract with Priority Health with the change to the HMO platform for active employees and early retirees effective January 1st, 2016.
Support. Motion by Crawford, support by Johnson. Any questions or discussion items? Bob?
Well, I mean, it says, approximate savings of 2.7%, so with the addition, that's going to be about 1.3 additional taxed, roughly, onto each employee in that, if I understand that correct. So.
Yeah. The savings to us is about 142,000.
Are there any questions at all by commissioners or comments by staff? Anyone in the audience like to speak regarding the topic of switching from the EPO to the HMO? No? Okay. Roll call, please, Bonnie.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Cropa?
Yes. Recommendation number 6, dental benefits. We received renewal quotes from Delta Dental offering us 2 renewal options. Please see attachment. The first option is for no increase in rates for 2016 and a rate cap of not more than 4.5% for 2017. The second option is for a 2% rate increase in 2016 and 2017 and a 4% rate cap of not more, well, that doesn't make any sense, and a 4% rate cap of not more than 4% in 2018. How about a rate cap of not more than 4%? Does that seem appropriate? Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions, discussions, or a motion?
I will move that with immediate effect, we renew our contract with Delta Dental for 2 years with no increase in rates for 2016 and a rate cap of not more than 4.5% for 2017.
Second.
Moved by Johnson, support by Crawford. Discussion. Sonny.
I would, I think I'll probably support this tonight, but I would ask that we ask HR or our agent, whoever's going to do it, to track our usage. I paid for dental insurance for my employees for a number of years, and when it was over and done with, when I started evaluating it, I could have paid their dental bills for significantly less money than I was paying for insurance for. Dental insurance is always something that's fun to talk about, but the fact is, not very many people tend to use it, and therefore you end up paying a big premium for a limited amount of usage. And like I said, I know in my situation, I could have paid my employees' dental bills significantly cheaper than I was paying for for dental coverage.
Well, I can, I'll talk to Sally and have her track that. My experience has been like yours. If you get checkups, that's what it's good for. If you get a crown, if it costs $1,000, you pay $895 and they pay $105. So I think that's pretty traditional. They're all like that. So what you're asking us to find out, Commissioner Wheelock, is how many of our people actually use that program and
well,
what
if
the cost
we should
is?
be able to find, we have, and the term escapes me right now, but we have numbers for all of our health insurance, what their actual usage is.
Yeah.
And we find that, our number of employees that use the insurance is significantly higher than the average. But what I'm concerned about is, even if it's higher than the average,
are we paying more money for health, or for dental insurance coverage than the benefit that they're receiving? Because Tom's exactly right. You get a $1,000 crown, and if you're lucky, they pay $850, or they pay $150, and you're stuck with the other $850. So even though you've paid that significant premium, the actual benefit that's received by our employees is probably pretty small.
I think my experience is it's really designed for a couple checkups a year to make sure you're doing the right thing, basically. That's what the benefit usually is for, and they'll pay a very small percentage of a major crown or anything like that. But I will check into that for you and find out what the usage has been.
I have a question about it. This is immediately affecting non-contract employees. This is something that is included in the union contracts that we negotiate? Okay.
Yeah.
And how does this affect retirees? Is there anything with this included in that?
For dental?
Yeah. No.
There's no dental retiree benefit.
Christine?
Commissioner Wheelock raises a very, very good point. I'm wondering, as we take a look moving forward, if we wouldn't be better off for our employees offering a cafeteria plan. And when I say this, I'm saying, you know what, as luck would have it, I have my mother's teeth, and I need 2 cleanings a year. That's it.
You need your own teeth. You can't use hers anymore. Give hers back.
It's getting kind of gross.
Now my siblings who do not have mom's teeth, they have dad's teeth, they're not in as good a shape as I am. But it truly, when you stop and take a look at what Shell charges every month for dental, they charge $83 a month for 2016. I have to tell you, I think there might be a way to just say, employees, we'll give you $1,000 a year. You use it for teeth cleaning, you use it for your child's orthodontics, you use it for a filling, you use it for whatever you want. And I'm not going to vote against this motion. I'm just bringing this up as maybe down the road we can make employees happier with their dental and save money at the same time.
You're talking maybe like a self-insured program where we would
Yeah,
just give them
$1,000 a year, whatever it is. And I don't know what the right number is, and I'm not suggesting $1,000 a year is the right number, but I'm just saying, this is a good idea.
I get the concept, and I'll
Yeah.
check into it. I understand.
It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, because, I mean, we're going through it in my family. Do we want vision this year? Do you need glasses this year? Maybe next year we'll do it, maybe, but this year my kid needs orthodonture, so it would be something that I would buy for a few years and then not have anymore. So that would be a good benefit to have, to be able to choose.
So I just think we
because
need
it's
to
not
look
one
at
size
it.
fits all.
And
It's
I'll
sort of
vote
like
for
a
the,
flexible benefit account
There
that
you
they
go.
have where you can put money in, or the company can put money
Everybody
in, and you can
wins.
use it as you want, kind of thing.
We've had a lot of discussion over the years, both here and in a lot of other organizations that I'm involved in, about health service plans, and setting aside monies and dealing with that, doing catastrophic type policies and
Right.
doing HSPs, because there's just so many options that are available, and the premium share has gotten so damn expensive that, when you start looking at actually how much health insurance or how much health benefit did my employees receive this year for the $160-some thousand that I paid in health insurance coverage. And the math doesn't work. Whether or not you have to allow for that insurance piece, that if they needed it, it would be available to them. And I know there has to be a factor to that. But the fact is, if you just look at the numbers of what we all pay for health insurance compared to what our actual doctor bills are, the math doesn't work.
Well, it's proven that you spend 80% of your life health care costs at the last 90 days of your life. That's what the statistics show.
Why can't we just insure the last 90 days of our life?
No. You wouldn't want
Say, Sonny, if
anybody,
your
nobody
costs
would
are
want to
going up,
insure you.
I'd like to know when that is, too.
It's a changing landscape. We've got a couple possible Supreme Court decisions which could change Affordable Care Act, things like that are pending. The next couple of years, it's going to be in turmoil, so we'll just have to stay on top of it. But what we're trying to do is to have consistent projected costs that we can manage the budget better as compared to the ups and downs.
And offering $1,000 a year is a way to do exactly
And that concept might be a good thing to look at.
And no one, here or individually or as an employer, could have ever anticipated that we would see double-digit increases for health insurance costs for the last 10 years. Annually for the last 10 years.
Sometimes the concept of the flexible spending account might be something that we could look into, and you could include dental or make it for that. But we'll check into it and see if there's some things out there or some other ideas. And I'm sure this isn't the first organization that's had to deal with that, and we can probably see if there's anybody else that's looked at it and had some solutions which has worked for them.
I think the flexible spending account is the way to go. It allows each of the users to be their own shopper for medical care. And the best part about it is it rolls over year after year. So if you are fortunate and don't have a lot of expenses, when you retire, you could retire with, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 in an HSA. I've been doing it for years. Most of the municipalities in our county offer HSAs for their employees. Grand Traverse County is unique there. And then if you have a particular type of need that the other employee may not, that's where your costs go. It gives you the ability to really negotiate your healthcare costs because the employees can use the flexible spending account dollars to cover their deductible. So we may be able to negotiate a better mass, high deductible policy, yet it doesn't take a penny out of the employee's pocket because the Grand Traverse County puts those dollars in their flexible spending account. And if they're fortunate enough to not have medical needs and not have to use those dollars for the deductible, they carry it over to the next year and the next year. And it really is an idea that's decades old, and I think it allows each individual user to get the best thing out of their account. And I'm hopeful that we go the way that self-employed, businesses have been going for many years and many of our fellow municipalities. And I would like to see that happen.
We'll look at it.
Yeah, it's the way it should be. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have anyone from the audience that would like to speak about Delta Dental offering?
Georgia.
Right now, the benefit for dental is $1,000 a year. I don't know what the county pays. I know that's the benefit to the employee. It covers 2 preventative cleanings, and it pays for 75% of things like a crown. So I happen to have my mother's teeth, who's not like your mother's teeth. And so I've had several crowns, and I pay out of pocket after the $1,000. That it pays 75%. So it is a decent benefit, but if you put the $1,000 in, it would be the same to the employee, but it might save the county money. So, and there is a retiree dental benefit. You pay for it, but you can get it through with your health insurance. Maybe. Right now there is. Anyways.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the dental change? Okay, seeing no one. Bonnie, roll call, please.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Wheelock?
No.
Cropa?
Yes. We are on to the 2016 budget summary for the general fund. Dean, you are on.
I hear you.
What you have here is a summary, and this is just for the general fund, but it is the main fund. It's the fund that appropriates to all of the other funds that you support. You can see on page 70, we have estimated revenues for 2016 at $37 million. And this is just summary information. And then on the next page are the expenditures by function. And you can see that and this is the requested amounts from all of the departments and the elected officials, and the appropriations that are needed to support the funds. We have about a $2.6 million gap. Tom and myself met with a number of departments last Thursday and Friday. We have a lot of work to do here, but the decisions that were made tonight help us. It sets the stage for us. We can now, we can set some of the personnel numbers. Up to last week, we were changing numbers on a daily basis, and it's rather frustrating. It's no way to balance a budget. So the decisions that you made tonight, we have a very good starting point. We had in my opinion, very good meetings with the departments that we met with last week. Total about $21 million of your general fund budget, so we had pretty good coverage in 2 days. We do have a lot of work to do. In the $39.6 million number, there's requests for over $500,000 in vehicles. There's also an appropriation to the capital improvement fund of $1 million. So there are some big items in the requested amount. We're obviously going to have to, knock those down quite a bit to balance this. And then beyond that, though, Tom will, I'm sure when he's here full-time next week, the budget will be his and my main focus. So with that, I know we're trying to keep the line item detail away from you at this point in time because we don't have a recommended budget for you. But the plan is to have that for you by December 15th, and we do have a lot of work to do to get there, though.
So in this bottom line, this 39,663, that does not include any of the effects of the changes that we made this evening, is that correct?
Some of the effects are in this. For the non-contract exempt hourly and the elected officials, where we were kind of jumping the gun, we were hoping that you would approve those tonight. Those have been built into this.
Okay.
There are a number of contracts that have to be negotiated. We left we didn't change the numbers for anything that we don't know at this point. So if we're successful in our labor negotiations, we'll see further reductions in personnel costs. One of the things that was built into this, and I quit changing numbers last Friday because we were at the 20% reduction or the 20% premium share on the health insurance. The numbers will actually go up because the 39.6 includes the 20%.
Oh, okay, and we only approved 10.
It needs to be reduced
Okay.
back to the 10. But it's the finance director's nightmare when the numbers change every day. So we quit changing numbers until actions and decisions were made tonight.
Yeah, we thought 20% made sense, but that's a lot to do at once, and so we thought it would be better to phase it in and get through this year and get what we can done to balance the budget, and then do a much more thorough job next year. One of the things that was lacking, I haven't even started yet, so I would have had a detailed presentation out to all the employee groups and telling them where we were and what some of the options were, and laid all of that out months ago, but I'm not here. So we're playing catch-up, we're about 3 months behind in the process, but people don't like surprises, and I feel badly that we are, in essence, surprising people, but we had no choice. We had to get it done, and we have to get it done, but it's not the process that I prefer to use. You have to communicate with people, lessen some of the anxiety. You don't want to demotivate people, and if you're not telling them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and giving a good rationale for it, that's what you do. So next year, we'll be able to be more communicative and get information out and get more input and feedback, and it'll be more of a collaboration as compared to a dictation, which it is right now.
I have a couple questions on the expenditures, projected expenditures of the $39.6 million. Does that include an allocation for OPEB above $500,000, which was kind of the placeholder?
We put 690, didn't we, in there?
The number here does not include any OPEB. The financial forecast that Steve is working on does include it.
If we did, it would be, I remember around 690,000.
Yeah.
730
So, well,
as of last Friday.
Yeah.
right, but with one of the decisions that you made tonight regarding the
Change it.
cap, and I had
It
the
lowers it?
valuation done.
That
But I'm
will-
working with the actuary to roll that in so that we have, it's still going to be
It's-
around 700,000.
Yeah.
Probably.
So we don't have the $500,000 placeholder in here that we did in our, okay.
No.
Do we have a placeholder in here for the Boardman dams?
Yeah, that was my question.
Not currently, but that is in the financial forecast, so.
And
no.
do we have a placeholder for an accelerated MERS payment?
The MERS payments that are included here include the contribution per their actuary that was done for 2016, and that payment is approximately, it's within $10,000 of the 13-year, the 15-year projection that they did. So this includes the required payment per MERS, which is based on the accelerated funding, the shrinking amortization, based on a 13-year amortization. That's in the
That's in
numbers here.
that. And that was the recommended payment from Reman? Was the
From
baseline?
MERS, wasn't it?
Well, it's the required payment from MERS. You can always pay,
Prepay
MERS
if you
was
want.
here, and they told us we can pay more. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see the strain that puts on the budget by, it's a $4.8 million, and it's not all in the general fund. It's spread to other funds, but you appropriate to the other funds where it's spread. But this includes the required payment per the actuarial valuation that was standalone. But that 13-year projection, it was within 5 or 10,000. So that's the MERS payment, the accelerated payment is in this.
Okay.
If you want to put another $500,000 in,
Right.
you'd have to build that in to
Okay,
to
so
this.
MERS is in here, the OPEB is not in here.
Correct.
Nor the dams.
That's correct.
That's
Okay.
right.
Are there any questions, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, just running the numbers in my head, though, we're still about $3.5 million with
Structural
the
deficit.
700,000 and then the 10% difference. You know, we're still at least $3.5 million.
If you fully fund the OPEB, and, you know, that's a question or an issue. I don't know if you're going to be able to fully fund the OPEB initially, but that would obviously be a consideration, so.
It doesn't have to appear on our balance sheet until 2017, but we know it's coming, we know what the amount is.
Well, we're looking at sustainability. We're trying to set the stage this year for
Yeah.
sustainability. So if we don't, to me, if we don't address it this year, we're going to next year, and it's even a bigger hole. So.
Well, you're right, if you're looking at 2.9, and we haven't included the op-ed liability, which is another 700, that puts you up around 3.5, doesn't include, because we don't know what the liability is on the dam, you know, one way or the other.
One thing with the OPEB, the accounting standards are never the same. The pension liability has always been disclosed in the notes to the financial statements. For some reason, the OPEB, we actually have part of the OPEB liability on the financial statements right now. It's not the 12 million or the 9 million, whatever the number is that you use, but there is some on the financial statements right now. I think it's about a $2 million number, but that's obviously a long ways from where, you know, that total liability is. And until you go to putting that on your government-wide statement in full, they have us increasing it each year by the amount that you're not funding. So when we do our 2015, we'll add to it, but it will not be at the full amount based on the valuation that's being done.
Dan?
I think we should raise our standard, even though it's not required in 2016 that we have OPEB on the books, we should put it on the books. It's going to be required in 17, right?
Correct.
So let's just get it over with. Put it on the books so we can look at it. It shouldn't be a footnote. We should address it now.
If you look at it and it's on the books, it means you have to deal with it, which means you've
Okay.
got another $700,000 you have to deal with.
Well,
you know, in terms of coming to the
are we going to
overall
have another
objective
year
of-
we don't fund it at all?
I don't think it hasn't been funded since 2012.
It's never been funded.
It's not funded at the required payment. You are paying out that liability or those benefits right now. You're on a pay-as-you-go plan. It's not a big number. You're paying $65,000 to $80,000 a year. When we do the calculation every year, that's credited towards, but no, we're
Our
not.
contract obligation's $9 million.
I'm just saying that somewhere it should be in print so that we know it's there. And we should look at it in terms of our bottom line. Just because the powers that be don't say, MERS used to be a footnote.
Well, you can early adopt the standard.
Well, then why don't we?
Yeah. Well, I think it makes sense because if it's 700 this year and you don't deal with it, it's more next year, you need to know what you need to work towards.
Yes.
And that's realistic.
We should adopt it.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, we need all the cards on the table.
Yeah.
I don't know, we can discuss this later, as to how important it is to fully cover that this year, because, I mean, I think it's gonna be hard to get to the 3.5 million. I mean, we can get there, I'm pretty sure, but it's gonna be tough. And I think the estimate was another million next year, or, so, there's gonna be a multi-year thing
Well,
anyway.
we've done some things this evening to change the trajectory to some extent in the healthcare. It just kept going up and up and up, so we've dealt with that. You'll need to do that with pensions and, and of course I've been told, I know Dean supports the bonding. That may be one of the solutions, but until you make the structural changes and get your organization down to as efficient as you possibly can with a good cost structure, I don't think you've earned the right to go out for the bond. The bond's the easy way out. You put $45 million in debt, and then you add another $3 million for bonding costs. Now, if you do everything you should do and have everybody in the room mad at you, then you're probably doing the right thing. But you may need to still borrow, but maybe not the 45, but maybe 10 or 15, because you've done everything else and earned the right to say this is part of the solution. But just going out and bonding it is not the only solution. There has to be a number of solutions, and then you can determine what that number is. But I agree with Mr. Lathrop. Yeah, we probably should get it on the books, and we know what we're dealing with, and we have to face it. And you start, if we don't do it, it's the proverbial, let's kick that can down the road and then deal with it later. And that's been, I don't think that's a very wise and prudent way to run an operation.
Yeah. Even though I'm asked from time to time about the pension bonds, I have consistently been against them. Of course, everything's going to be on the table because of the amount that we have to cut, but you would have to bring a strong case for me to justify that, because you are just kicking that down the road. That's not something that...
I don't like to, unless, the interest rates are low is probably the compelling reason for doing it, but to borrow money and put more debt on that borrowed money, it always worries me. But I'm saying that let's not rule it out as part of the solution, but it is not the only solution.
I really wasn't going to bring this up, but I might as well. In case anyone happened to see the Record Eagle this week, I did meet with two of Governor Snyder's representatives. No, I did not go to Lansing. This resulted from about a minute-and-a-half conversation with the governor when he was here this summer. And what I told him at that time, I gave him basically a summary of our balance sheet and asked him to talk to his budget director, John Roberts, which he did. And then I was contacted by two of his representatives from the Treasury Department. Now, first of all, I want to let everyone know, the rumor says that I was trying to get an emergency manager to cut employee pensions. I can't do that. I don't have the authority. I can't call for an emergency manager. And I did not do that. I will tell you that I have researched seriously Public Act 436, which is the Emergency Act. And there are criteria in Public Act 436 that says that if you meet this criteria, the state of Michigan is going to start looking at you in terms of emergency management. And we meet many actually, of the criteria. One of them is if we are not making a contribution to required by a pension, retirement, or benefit plan. We are not making a contribution to our OPEB benefit plan. It is a benefit plan. Another criteria is existence of a structural operating deficit. We happen to have one, and we all know it. We talked tonight, by the motions we passed this evening, we addressed 11% of our structural deficit, $381,000, I believe it was, if I recall. I'd have to look it up. We have a structural operating deficit, and it's going to occur year after year. And here's the biggie: a projection of a deficit in the general fund of the local government for the current fiscal year in excess of 5%. Well, in 2016, and this is with from Mr. Peacock's numbers, and they are the most current numbers I have, and you all have heard that there are other numbers coming in that we are not putting on Mr. Peacock's sheet. In 2016, do we meet 5%? Yeah, we exceed it. It's 9.3%. In 2017, our deficit will be 10.5%. This is if we do nothing. 2018, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. The structural, or the, in excess of 5% of our revenue, yeah, we hit that mark too, 11.6%. And the following year, 2019, 11.4%. That's if we do nothing. We have to do something. We have got to address the structural deficit that is occurring year after year. We're not going to do this tonight. In all likelihood, and Mr. Menzel doesn't even start till next week, but I will tell you that I've been in conversation with Mr. Menzel, and he has got some ideas for restructuring county government that will have minimal impact to the public we serve, and that's why we're sitting here. We serve the public. And will be savings moving forward. But he hasn't even started full-time. He starts next Monday. So while we may pass a budget for 2016, we are going to have to start addressing the budget, the 2016 budget, in January of 2016. We are going to have to make some structural changes. And it's serious.
Acknowledge that the budget's a living document that
well,
we can
you
adjust
know,
along the
you
way?
and I have argued about that for years. But I will say that when I sat with the governor's representatives, I outlined for them, and we did talk about what some of the triggers that bring in emergency management and your preliminary review, et cetera, et cetera. They focus on how to avoid going down that road, and that was the focus of our conversation, is to how to avoid going down that road. And I outlined for them our independent financial analyst, Mr. Peacock's recommendations, and they said, yes, you are going down the right road. They said, when we see you start to gut public safety, and believe me, that is the first thing that municipalities do. They start to gut public safety because they can. It's the only place they have. We are not Detroit, we are not Flint, but I want you to know, we do not want to go there, and that's what we are trying to do here tonight. This is going to be baby step after baby step after baby step in the next year, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be unhappy with us. But as Mr. Menzel says, our grandchildren are going to thank us down the road. But I wasn't going to address it, but I felt, since we're talking about the seriousness of our situation, that I should.
I want to thank you because your motivation wasn't to take us to an emergency manager. Your motivation was to find out a way to avoid going there. And
I really wanted to see if we were going down the right road, and we are. And they're just, yeah. And believe me, they have our MERS multipliers. They agree that some of the multipliers that we have are unsustainable. They have to be changed. We talked specifics, but it wasn't about bringing in an emergency manager. It was about the steps that we are taking to right the financial ship that we're in.
Okay, and I want to point out, a lot of times in the rumor mill of the county and the rumor mill in the community, you get in trouble for asking questions. We should be able to ask any question. Asking a question isn't an action. So it chagrins me to see people on this board looking for information, asking questions, and get blamed for it. So we should be able to ask questions with impunity, especially when we're looking out for the good of our citizens.
One thing, I know we've talked about this many times before, and kind of ties into the budget. Even though we know we can't increase our tourist tax and benefit from it, I think we need to see if we can turn to the governor's office to see if we can figure out some way to add a little more money to our tourists when they come in that benefits the county. You know, whatever you want to call it, whether it's short than a tourist tax, but to me, there'd have to be a way legislatively we could pull that off and let some of the tourists cover a lot of the structural costs that we have, that we bear during the summer, you know?
Takes an act of Congress.
We're fighting Southeast Michigan, and we're outnumbered.
But we need to start. I mean, you know, we've heard that we can't do it, but we have to start pursuing it.
We keep asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elisa and I are on MAC committees, and we try.
I have tried, and, I mean, it gets to the point where our representatives see me from across the room, and they say, no, we don't want to talk about
I think
the
maybe
tourist
it's time they start doing what they're supposed to do for us and try to
It
do
is
that.
interesting, our representatives represent tourist-based economies, yet will not even discuss the
No,
idea
they won't even bring it,
of
so
a tourist-based
I'll
tax.
throw it right out there that I think we need some strong
The
leadership down
citizens
there.
of this county don't have to bear the cost of all the expenses that are utilized by visitors to
And
our community.
you know, honestly, when you stop, and I don't know if any of you saw the legislation that was passed, where $600 million, I believe it is coming out of the general fund for roads. It's going to come out in 2018 and 2019.
By 2021, it will be $882 million.
This is coming out of the general fund. Well, I have to tell you, folks, the townships, the villages, and the cities are protected by the Michigan Constitution. Guess where it's coming from? That general fund money is going to come out of counties.
Revenue sharing.
And it's going to hit us. So we've got to get a handle on where we are now, and we've got to do it pretty quick.
Well,
As
hence would be my
Ma
visits
used to
to
say,
Lansing.
PDQ.
Yeah. Well, we have a renegotiation of the central records contract that could add $120,000 to our county general fund per year from the city. That dollar amount is a third of all of the changes that we made tonight. It's a significant change and important. Once again, when Mr. Menzel is on board full-time, then I will harass him about that. I spoke with our senator today. The presumptive parole bill is sitting very still in committee right now in the Senate. He doesn't anticipate any change in it, at least after the new year. I will go down and fight it as much as I can. We're talking about $500,000 to $1.5 million a year out of our county general fund mandated by the state of Michigan, and a change that they make. It significantly impacts that. When we think of the changes we have to go through just to get 300 and some odd thousand tonight, it's pretty bad when the state of Michigan can pass a bill and we lose in the millions every year. So it's a disappointing thing to see in Lansing. Michigan is a very unique state where the economies of downstate are very different than that of northern Michigan, and we certainly hope our representation fights for northern Michigan down there. I have one last question, Dean. It's an accounting question. You said that MERS, the dollar amount for the MERS payment and the projected expenses for 2016 was based on the baseline dollar amount that MERS gave us, what they're saying we should pay in this projected payoff plan that we're talking about. Didn't we get in this problem by paying what MERS told us we should pay in the first place?
Don't even go there.
I mean...
But, you know, we rely on MERS. Every year, they do an actuarial evaluation. They tell us what we need to pay into the system to achieve full funding. You know, they're basing their actuarial based on, you know, a rate of return. They've just lowered their rate of return. They've just told us people are living longer. And I have the same concern. I mean, we've been paying in what they've told us to. There were 3 years when I asked the board to freeze it. It was still a $3.9 million payment, but you have to wonder, and that's why we asked for the 13-year valuation. We needed to see that we're going to get to full funding, and we don't get to full funding in 13 years. It's more like 18 to 20. I mean, and you were seeing in the 5-year projection that we were still hovering at that 49%, and it's like, guys, we're paying in it for the next 5 years. The increase in the payment is about $400,000. So in 5 years, your payment to MERS is $2 million more than it is now, and you have to. I want to see the increase in the funded percentage. I want to see that we have more assets in there, and the more we have in, the more we're compounding whatever their rate of return is. But it is their required payment. Steve was here, I don't know what month, and I think even the representatives from MERS in January told us there are municipalities that are contributing more than the minimum.
Everyone else in the MERS plan, if you take a look at all 66 counties, 65 of them are pulling away from us. We are at the bottom. And you can look at it over a 5-year period, which is the spreadsheet I did years ago, or actually months ago. But yeah, you can pay more.
Do we have a sheet of, we could calculate payments based on, maybe we're going to pay 5% more, 10% more than the baseline, and it's kind of like when you have a credit card and you pay the minimum due, but then they show you, if you just pay an extra $12 a month, you pay it off in 14 less years or something.
MERS can provide us with those types of analysis or calculations, and paying in an additional half a million annually would assure or help you get to full funding quicker. The trade-off, though, is that means you're going to reduce something in your operating budget to come up with that $500,000. And I'm not saying you shouldn't look at that, but we can definitely get that type of an analysis from MERS to see how that helps us get to.
Don't we still have one coming? We still have one coming,
Yes.
We have another one coming, but it's like prepaying a mortgage. You have a 30-year mortgage, you make double payments each month, you pay it off in 15 years. It's real simplistic, it's just finding the money to do that.
Well, it's not even about full funding. I mean, our goal before was full funding, and we paid what they told us, and we ended up $46 million in debt. So I feel like full funding is a really out there goal. I just want to make sure we don't go backwards. So it's not even about trying to make a double payment.
MERS has been undercharging us since 1991.
Is the rate of return down to 7.75% from 8?
Yes, they just made the change down to 7.
Raise your hand if you've ever gotten 7.75% on anything in the last couple of years. So we know if we pay the baseline payment, we are going to move backwards simply based on the fact that our rate of return seems to hover around 6%, at least the last 3 years for MERS. We've come in at around 6%. We base our rate of return on 8%. So even by paying the baseline, we move backwards. Talking to MERS is like going to buy a used car.
Honestly,
you'll never pay off.
That'll never pay off.
Honestly, I didn't want to say that, but I feel this.
Well, I feel
the same. But
it's true. So we need numbers and not a MERS valuation. We need a chart with projected payments, where it will place us in funding, and realistic rate of returns. Fine, base it on 6%. We don't even need to go way out there.
They always use 8%, but everyone I've spoken to says 5% is more realistic.
It is.
Otherwise,
Well, if
you're
I
going to get
made
a
money
jump
on interest from people's things, I'd love to use 8% too and tell them,
And of course, part
sorry,
of it,
we didn't get it.
if you're not fully funded, you're not making enough money off that in there to offset some of that, which
Exactly.
makes it worse. So you're starting in the hole, so that makes it even more difficult. That's why some say bonding is good, because you'll get more in, so you get more rate of
But
return.
unless
if
you
can get
fix the
6.
structure, it is not.
No, that's
Because you
right.
keep digging the hole.
Well,
And
yeah.
we had an analysis.
Your cost keeps escalating. But
We had an analysis recently that showed that if we were like 100% funded, we're still in the hole.
Yeah. What is the percentage of our budget that goes to MERS? 8, 9, 10?
Well, probably. I mean, if you look at just the general fund or the spread across all funds, it might be a little bit lower, but it's for next year, it's a $4.8 million
So that's what
payment.
percentage of our budget, 30,
Well, if you
40
have a-
million?
It would be over 10% if you're looking at just the
Yeah,
general fund.
yeah. I'll give you an example, just the one I'm familiar with is Beta is going to define benefit, and we're putting, I think, 8.1% in now, but we're fully funded at 110%, so we're making money off that. If we had what you had, we'd probably have to put 11, 12, 15% in to catch up. It's catch-up provision.
So if we're looking at attacking a structural deficit and we're talking about acknowledging all of our numbers, including non-required numbers like OPEB, wouldn't it be better for us to not put a baseline MERS cost into the projected expenses, but a larger payment that would at least stop us from moving backwards when we don't get 8% or 7.75?
I think, if I understand you correctly, you could make your normal payment, and then if you've got enough savings that you can make additional payments, and you can do an amortization of what that does in terms of lowering, like that may go from 18 to 12 years, depending how much you can afford to pay. But you also have to look at, your points were well taken, and Christina's, is the counties are getting hit pretty hard on these mandates which they're not funding. And, and that gives you less money. You this year alone lost $670,000 on the liquor tax, right?
Tax,
I mean,
Yeah, we did.
you lost another about $1 million in stuff that was taken away, and so, it's challenging, but it's fixable.
It
takes
is.
some
We
tough
just have to
decisions,
just
and-
keep at it.
And as
We
I
can
told
fix this.
Christine, if you've got everybody mad at you, unfortunately, it's probably the right decision, because everybody's a part of the solution. You just haven't gone to one area to fix it. But, it needs to be fixed, and we're working towards doing that.
It's going to take a little bit of time, but we can do
And the
it.
comment she made was true. I said, you can tell people, everybody in the room may hate me, but your kids and grandkids are going to love me. We're going to do the right thing and not kick it down the road for once.
Dean, I'd like to finish on a positive note.
Yeah. Please do.
You gave us expenses, showed us what our year-to-date expenditures were. What percentage are we in our 2015 budget?
Well, I'll have a report for Ways and Means. Revenues were actually ahead of last year, primarily because the tax revenue's coming in at a faster rate. Expenditures are a little bit higher, but we're still within budget. I think we're at 78% of the budget, which is a little less than 10/12, but you have some things that are up and down, but
So it wasn't so as positive
Wasn't
as
so
you
positive.
hoped.
No, but it's,
well, it's
Well,
positive. I mean,
something,
when you look at as of October 31st, I mean, because we don't start collecting our main revenue until July 1st, we have 34 million in revenue in the general fund, and our expenditures are at 30 million. So the general fund position right now is pretty good.
I would think that with the economy turning around, that some of the property taxes will be coming back in terms of getting some increases in there. Of
We
course,
just got hit with Grand Traverse Mall
I get that.
and Menards. Carol and I and Ron were at claims, and we saw the refund checks going to Grand Traverse
Yeah.
Mall.
Menards won their tax tribunal?
They did.
Yeah, they
Did
did.
Blair fight it?
I don't know if they fought it or not, but
It's a lot of
Menards
money.
got a refund, and it was substantial. I
But
mean,
I-
we're seeing this.
Yours was 90,000 you had to pay back here, wasn't it? Yeah,
I'm
the
surprised
county
Menards
had to
won
pay
that.
back 90,000 for just one of them.
For the mall.
Yeah.
That was the
For the mall.
mall share.
We're not talking small change here.
No.
And this is year after year after year it hits us.
Yeah. It takes a while to catch up again,
This is our opportunity, last opportunity for public comment, if anybody would like to be a part of. I see Matt standing up. Come on in, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Always.
Welcome.
Matt Scheck, 306 West 9th Street, Traverse City. I've got an article here that I thought was pretty interesting, and it goes right along with what you guys are talking about this evening. It's entitled, Why Good Elected Officials Go Bad, and it was written by Richard Rothschild. He is a county commissioner from Carroll County, Maryland. And he was asked, would you encourage people to run for public office? And he says, no, not unless they answer the following questions correctly. First, are they committed to upholding the Constitution? Second, can they handle not being liked? People that are amiable and have a strong need to be liked, do not necessarily make good fiscally conservative elected officials. Yet you see everyone that comes before a governing body inevitably wants money for something that they deem important. Money for social programs, money for infrastructure, money for public safety, money for veterans, money for libraries, money for schools, etc., etc. Furthermore, in the world of government, special interests judge you based on whether or not you support their mission. And unfortunately, support is not measured by principles, nor is it measured by empathy. In the stark world of government, it is measured in dollars. Like to rats in a cage that learn to push a lever for pellet food, most newly elected officials quickly learn, and appointed administrators, that they can buy accolades from members of various groups or unions simply by giving them what they want, money. They also learn that they can buy support from the media by supporting the same causes embraced by the media. In my 3 short years of office, I have witnessed this anomaly in action. Commissioner John Doe cares about education. He gives us money. Commissioner John Doe cares about our hardworking employees. He gives us money. Never mind that the fact that increased spending levels today could force us to lay off 50 people next year if revenues fall short. Never mind that the fact of salary increases we give today could force us to raise taxes on struggling taxpayers next year. So here's the rub. People with a compulsive need to be liked do not know how to say no. They inevitably allow spending and the size of government to trend upward. Expedient citizens evaluate their officials by what they can give them. Fiscally conservative citizens evaluate their elected officials based on their adherence to sound principles. With every policy and every decision, each elected official and each constituent must decide what they value most, politics or principles. Last year during a debate and funding, I received a revealing email. It threatened, Commissioner Rothschild, if you want to do what's best for your political career, you'll give us extra funding we demand. I'll be through in a second. I walked to the podium in front of hundreds of jeering government employees. I read the email and told the audience, I am now ready to respond to this email. You see, my job is not to do what is for my political career. My job is to uphold the Constitution and manage the county in a fiscally responsible manner. And suffice to say, the reason our country is buried in trillions in debt and the reason that the county is buried in $300 million in debt is because politicians before me made great career decisions. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Come on in.
Dave Lather again. I have the letter from CMS. I knew you were interested in that. I thought this would be a good time to bring it back. Just one last comment. I'm hearing how bad things are and everything. I'm asking, is our bonding ratings going down? Or is there a problem there? Is that not a thermometer maybe of our fiscal status? I know this is not a dialogue thing. I'm just throwing that out.
It's rhetorical. I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Should I?
Thank you for bringing that. Yes.
Yes, you are.
I'll make copies.
Okay, thank you,
Email
Bonnie.
them out.
Would anyone else like to speak? Go on up. You need to be official at the podium for your friends at home on TV.
How official do you think you can get?
Hi, Ron Heitzman. I'm from Benzonia. And looking around, I may be the longest retired person in this room. And so I have some real concerns about what I heard tonight. When I retired, I remember my phasing out day when I met with people, and I was officially assured that, thank you, you've done a very nice job, we appreciate it. You're set, don't worry about anything. Well, by the time I got to the point where I got the red, white, and blue card that says, here's your medical insurance, half my retirement was already going for insurance from the county. I heard tonight from Mrs. Kropa, and I just want to verify, this is really basically all of it. You're saying that the Constitution of the state of Michigan now tells us that our retirement is secure.
Pension.
Pension.
That was that was what they settled with the Detroit bankruptcy case. The Michigan Supreme Court came in and found that the Constitution upholds the pension, not health care, but the pension of retirees. Yes, sir.
So our pension is secure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to add one last quick thing. I'm a supervisor in a very small township, and I surely can sympathize what you're going through. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else at all? Well, I want to thank everybody for such a respectful discussion, and I hope you were able to at least get some answers or know where you can go to get some more answers. Certainly, this is just the first of many meetings, but we appreciate people coming out and taking the time to get answers and get their information firsthand. We are done with second public comment, and we'll just move on to a quick commissioner announcements. We can start on this end.
Yeah, everything, the meetings are this week as far as most of my townships. I will be out of town
Thank you for doing that.
starting tomorrow afternoon through Monday. Make a little short trip down to Mobile, Alabama, so
Are they playing in
but I'll be back Monday night.
Try to go to that.
Okay.
Nothing.
Safe travels.
Yes. Have a good trip. Hopefully your daughter's team will win, Sonny.
Anyone else at all for? I wanted to make sure that citizens knew about, we all received this from our treasurer, Heidi Sheppy, the Step Forward Michigan program. There's a deadline, December 31st of 2015, for citizens that are having a problem with making their payments and are facing foreclosure. There is help, and if you contact our county treasurer, she can help you with that. And I wanted to say also, I went to the Veterans lunch yesterday, and Christine and I both got to serve them, and there were so many World War II veterans, and
I gotta tell you,
it was
so
amazing
cool.
to have this much history in one room, and I had the opportunity to sit down and meet two gentlemen that fought in the Pacific Hemisphere, and you just can't even imagine the stories, and it was an opportunity I really, really appreciated. And on one last note, the county planning department had their awards countywide, and we just want to congratulate the two biggest winners, Sarna Salzman from Seeds and Brian Vandenbrand, the deputy planner of Garfield, were both awarded with the highest honors, and it was a great turnout and a nice evening. Sonny was there as well, and that is it. Good job to Marcia Carmody from the planning department for planning that event, which is sponsored by area businesses and ticket sales, not taxpayers.
One more thing. I will have the petition and Lieutenant Colonel Terry Hahn, if you want to sign the petition for the Medal of Honor
I need to sign
recipient, naming the clinic after him, we've got the petition here for you to sign after the meeting.
Okay, seeing no other things to talk about, we are adjourned.
All righty.
My iPad died. Yeah, that's what I was like.